Hi guys, I'm Becca Otis from Five Lines Pottery, and I'm located in Van.
And I'm Ryan Durbin from RD Ceramics, located in Highland Heights, Kentucky.
And welcome to Wheel Talk.
All right. Recording now.
Okay.
Live.
Wow. Live.
We
Do you
have
know what I
guest
found
with
out
us.
recently?
What's that?
Oh, yeah. You know Bob's Burgers, the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've never watched it.
Okay.
What?
I don't really like animated shows like that.
Okay.
I don't know. I just not my thing. It's not as bad as saying like I've never watched Lord of the Rings or Star Wars. Like I just don't watch those shows. Do you watch Bob's Burgers? Isaac?
Is that like Family Guy style?
Yeah. You like shows like that?
No.
You
I
know,
like
I didn't-
Bob's Burgers is better than Family Guy.
Yeah, it is. I didn't really love Family Guy, but I really like Bob's Burgers. Okay, so
Okay.
but you don't have to know anything about the show except for the fact that there's like I want to say 3 women that are like the main characters in the show. But I found out that there's only one voice actor that's a female. So like
Really?
2 of the women are played by men.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I was like, that's cool. It's totally different.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say one woman did like multiple voices, and that's why.
No, like the Tina and who's the mom? Linda are both played by men.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's a cute show. I like that show.
I think that you should give it a chance.
What do you? It's on like Fox or something. Is it streamed on Netflix?
I think it
You can watch
streams on
Hulu.
either
You
Hulu.
can watch
Yeah.
on Hulu.
I don't have Hulu.
Ryan doesn't have Hulu. Yeah. Sarah Anderson continuously streams Bob's Burgers. She just like when she ends the series, she just goes back and watches the beginning again.
Sounds like Rachel watching Bones. She watches Bones all the time.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, Joe loves that show. That's what he would do too.
Bones or New Girl. She used to watch New Girl all the time. I don't think it's on Netflix anymore, so she doesn't listen to it or watch it now. But
It's
That's
on
what I do
Hulu.
with Survivor.
you watch
I
Survivor?
love Survivor.
Really?
Oh,
If it's not a
What
Potter,
about-
I would apply for Survivor
There's plenty
every
of seasons for that. So
episode or season.
I heard that this last season of Survivor was really good, actually.
Yeah, every season is. So.
just the formula works, huh?
Newsflash, that's why they've been on for 58 seasons.
We should probably introduce who these people are.
Who's the Survivor lover here? Who's this?
My name is Isaac Shue.
I was so ready for you to be like, my name is Inigo Montoya.
Isaac Shue, I live in Harper, Kansas,
Which is where I'm visiting this week.
which is about an hour south of Wichita towards Oklahoma.
Yeah, because Ryan and Isaac are forming a bromance that cannot be matched.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, I wouldn't say forming, it was already formed. We're just
Uh,
We're just nurturing the.
It's evolving.
What's the fire? You're stoking the fire, or you're like
stoking the
You're
fire.
like
Fire.
you're like keeping it going, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been here for a few days. We were soda firing. We finished 2 soda firings this week.
Wow.
And I'll head out tomorrow.
Okay, who is the other person that's here?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Me?
you.
It should
Yeah.
be a fan favorite, Heidi Fahrenbacher, Bella Joy Pottery, that just like keeps coming back.
She just will not leave.
Soon this is gonna be my podcast.
I think this is your 4th, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
my 4th. Hi,
and
everybody.
2 of them in the last month.
Yep. Gonna be Wheel Talk with Heidi.
We should have an extra segment for Heidi to do when we don't want to show, like, we don't want to do anything. We can just be like, Heidi, it's your episode now.
Right.
I mean,
And then let her.
I mean, I do see that there could be some like I can see a Heidi Fahrenbacher things to be happy about segment. Like,
Right.
I don't know.
I have this because I was like, Ryan's gonna ask me about that.
All right, well, why don't we start there? Do you have 5 things to be happy about we can start with today?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can. You ready?
Yeah.
All right.
This is
number
actually
one.
from the book. She's not making this up this time. Last episode she
Yeah.
just made it up, but
Yeah, this is real. Number 1, something new and bright to wear. That's a good one.
Oh, that is a good one.
Number 2, elegant pewter swirl bowls. What are those?
squirrel bowls?
No, swirl, like a swirl.
Swirl bowl, okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
Number 3, oven baked potato sticks.
Like French fries?
Hell yeah.
Right. French fries. Yeah, French fries.
That's a bit.
I'm calling that from now
That's
on.
hobby.
Oh
You want some
my
oven
gosh.
baked potato sticks tonight?
I'm gonna go to Freddy's and I'll be like, can I get some of those oven baked potato sticks with your dipping sauce?
Number 4, paintbrushes. That's a good one.
Oh, gotta love paintbrushes.
Yep. And number 5, hot applesauce. Ew.
That sounds gross.
Hot
Yeah,
apple what?
I mean,
Hot
I kind
applesauce?
of hot applesauce. Hot applesauce?
Hot
Applesauce.
applesauce is actually really good. So my dad made it growing up, and we used to eat it hot right out of the pan. It was awesome. And it's also very good frozen.
Oh,
Really?
okay, sorry.
So you made it. He made it by hand then, cause
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking like hot, like cinnamon kind of, but cinnamon and
Yeah.
Like spicy.
like, well, I guess cinnamon's not really spicy, right?
You throw some jalapeno in there.
Oh, that sounds good.
Jalapeno applesauce?
Yeah, throw
That's a
some
thing?
bacon in there.
Oh my
It'd
gosh.
be like something kind of like a jalapeno popper with apple.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
I've heard of like applesauce and potato pancakes. Have you heard of that?
Well,
Yeah.
Some of you guys didn't
Makes it
grow
like
up in
more-
Kansas and Colorado, and it shows.
Well, I was going to say, I feel like applesauce is really big with pork things, so putting bacon in it makes sense, right?
There was a bakery in
Yeah.
town that used applesauce to moisten up their pastries. Compared to what else did they put in? I forget. But yeah, you don't even taste it. It's just like a thickener almost.
Right. I do like applesauce, so I guess I'll have to try it warm.
It might be better like actually when it's
Homemade.
made warm. I don't know if you warmed it up.
Oh.
It's really good.
Yeah, probably
That
not.
sounds disgusting.
Seems like a lot of work to make applesauce from scratch.
Yeah, that
Did your
does.
dad have an apple orchard?
Yeah, growing up we had like, I don't know, 15 trees.
Oh, really? That's cool.
And then you had a big press, so you'd like boil the apples forever, and then you would have this like, I don't know, like a grinding wheel that had this little like slot up top that I remember you would put the apples in, and I had this wand. It was almost like a mortar pestle, and I would push it down as he was spinning it, and it would grind it out into applesauce. It was awesome.
That's cool.
It's really
Did
not
you
too
sell
far.
his applesauce?
No, we were big canners. Well, he was a big canner, so he would can everything for the winter. So then we would have all our food for winter.
Right.
Mm. So you always grew up here.
Yeah, I was born here.
Nice. All right. What are we talking about? Heidi, you had some questions today,
I did.
I believe, because where we
Oh.
left off, we covered a lot of Becca stuff, but you kind of like had questions for me, and then I think this will tie into some Isaac stuff as well.
Right. Okay. So, did you end up raising your prices at all, Ryan?
I did. I raised them a couple bucks on most things. So, well, yeah. So like mugs went from 36 to 38. Bottles went from 36 to 38. My spoon rests, I feel like I raised those at the end of the year. I don't know if it was right after we talked or before we talked, but they were 18. They're 20.
Okay.
Shot glasses are 12 instead of 10. Those have been pretty much only online though. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, typically I would raise a couple bucks every year. That's probably my standard. And I've been doing that for the past 3 or 4 years, I think. So I feel like that's, and I do that mostly to, keep up with, it's sellable at that, but also to keep myself from having to increase my throwing capacity for the year, because I don't want to expect to be like, okay, I threw 3,700 last year. Now let's throw 4,200. Like I can't maintain just increasing throwing capacity every year over year over year.
Right.
So that's part of the reason, but also just, hey, I've proven that I can sell it at this price, so I'm going to raise it a little bit more. And then, some of the forms, obviously the quality is getting better as well, little by little.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's kind of the standard that I've been doing.
When you first started, Ryan, how did you come up with your pricing?
I would say I went the market approach. I kind of looked at others around me I think I also took like a little workshop with one of my teachers in college, and I think he was kind of like, you should always start out with at least, I think if we were coming up with a number, just like a base, like $18 for a mug. And then you kind of like adjust it from there. Because it's hard to just say, oh, well, you do it based on your skill or how good a quality it is. Like that's kind of relative. So,
Right.
You have to be objective with your breaking down like quality, and you kind of got to. But also, you don't want to just take advice from somebody who hasn't done like markets and stuff. That if they're a teacher, they might not know the market for some of these things if they're not regularly selling them to the public. So you got to kind of go to a lot of shows and gauge what prices people have for their stuff out there and kind of start there. So I want to say my mug started at 18 and I went from there.
Okay. I have a question. But you said a teacher from college, was it like a ceramics professor or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was actually Ben Clark. We've talked to him on the podcast before. Or I talked to him at Queen City Clay. He's one of the owners of Queen City Clay in Cincinnati. So I don't know if it was, I think it was in college, at the end of college when we did that, or it might have been a little session before one of the like Clay Alliance shows that they do in the spring, and there's a lot of like new people that join that and sell, and it's like, hey, if this is your first show, we're going to do a little speech and talk about, some things with, how to price your work or how to set up a booth or whatever. And that might have been some of the feedback. I can't remember when that discussion happened, but I want to say I do remember attending something from Ben Clark talking about that. That's kind of what I remember and how I came to that price initially.
I'm curious. I mean, I don't expect you to know this, but I wonder how he came up with the $18.
I don't know.
I
I don't know if that was just a mark. I think it's just to give people a feeling like, okay, I need to start somewhere, and obviously, this was X number of years ago. I mean, this could have been started selling in 2016. This could have been like 2017 or something like that.
Okay.
So,
I'm not judging him.
Obviously, that 18 could be, that 18 could be $23 today or $25.
Right. Right.
And is that a reasonable starting point? And who's to say that number is? You can't start lower than that or start higher than that. I think people these days, there's so much pottery out there, you can get a good sense of numbers that people are charging pretty easily. They're all at your fingertips. And But also, like, you don't know what people's expenses are and all that thing, so it's kind of hard to just say, okay, well, my stuff is just as good as this person, and they're charging this much, so I should be charging that much.
Right. Yeah.
Because
That is.
I don't think that's useful. For me, I try to charge something that I'm happy to get out of it. If I can get that and sell it, and I can keep up with the stock, then um, then I feel like it's natural to increase it a little by little as I'm comfortable with it. And like,
Makes sense.
I like to have sales under my belt before I raise prices on things.
Right.
And
I'd like to remind you that it took me a year to have him raise his prices on his spoon rest to $20.
but I've been raising them little by little. I started at like $10, and then I raised them to 12, and then I raised them to 15, and then I raised them to 18, and then I raised them to 20. I mean, maybe it took a little longer to go from. I think I was at 15 pretty recently though.
You don't need to. You were, and you don't need to. You don't need to like explain yourself. I'm just telling Heidi
Oh.
that it took a year.
So I feel like people have somehow, like, I've become the pricing person, and I did not intend like for that to happen at all. I don't know how, and people are like afraid to talk about their pricing around me. First of all, I'm not going to judge anyone for their prices. I'm not going to yell at anyone about their prices. Like, it's your own business. I might in my head think, oh, you should raise your prices, but I'm not going to like come up to someone, be like, you know what, you're being dumb. Like,
Yeah. But
I just think,
do you
go ahead.
how do you kind of think about your pricing and how you settle on it, or maybe what goes into your formula? Is it more about paying yourself an hourly wage that's reasonable and knowing all those numbers of how long it takes you to make things, or do you lean more the market route and go that way, or have you switched over time? Or, and I don't know if we talked about this in the early one, but
Right. So when I started, I was similar like to you and just kind of based on the market around me. And then I actually took a pricing class, which helped a lot. But then I kind of made a mistake and I didn't multiply by 2. So I was like wholesaling a lot, but I actually wasn't making any money. And so I think we actually talked about this on one of the episodes.
yeah, I kind of remember you talking about the pricing class and stuff.
Yeah, where I was like, but I was doing like wholesale and retail shows and online, and I just like burned myself out. And so like now, since I raised my prices, like I know I'm making money at wholesale, and I think the thing is, like, yes, there are people who are not going to spend $68 on a mug. Okay, like I feel like I used to get annoyed with that, but I'm just like, that's fine.
Did you have to build a confidence level that you're
Oh
gonna
my
leave
God.
money on the table for, like, you're gonna have to be okay that you're gonna immediately eliminate X number of people because the price is such a sticking point?
Yeah. Like every day I had to remind myself, like, this is the right thing to do for you. This is the every day, because I was like, oh, maybe I should, because I see that a lot. People raise their prices and then they get scared, which I got scared, and then they change them back really quick.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to give it time if you're going to raise your prices. I would say at least 6 months.
What if you haven't even been in business for 6 months? Like if you taken your pricing class at the very beginning and you priced at what you're pricing now, well, you probably wouldn't have, because of quality and your hourly wages, or like what you want to pay yourself is probably more
Well, my
valuable.
overhead would have been a lot less.
Your
know?
overhead. Yeah. Because, like, I would worry that, okay, you get all this information, you feel like you understand all the formulas and all that stuff, and you go into it and you're like, okay, well, I'm going to come out of the gate, I have no sales under my belt, and I'm going to charge my mug at $45 for, like, I don't know, a production mug with a little bit of added to it. And
But
then
I
you're
really don't think $45 is that much.
okay.
So like,
What if they
I
can't
mean,
sell, though?
Well, here, let me just give you an example. So, like Airbnb, I was looking at places to stay on Airbnb, and they have like that one category that's like luxury. So I was looking at that, and it was like $33,000 a night, and I was like, oh my God, that's insane.
Holy shit.
Right. And then I saw a place that was only $3,000 a night, and I was like, oh my gosh, what a good deal. But again, I'm not going to spend $3,000 a night. But
Yeah.
because I had seen the 33, and I think that like 45, I know at one point I would have thought $45 was a lot for a mug.
But
it's
you're
just
looking at the others around you, right? Like Airbnb, I
Yeah.
immediately go there and I look at what is the low end and then what is the
Right.
high end, and then I immediately drag my scale to like my scale goes from like, let's say $60 a night. Let's say the high end is like $550 a night. I'll scale it from $60 a night to like 115, and that's the
Right.
pool that I'm looking at, and that's how I pick in that range. So
Right.
still see all the prices around, and I'm not looking at the extremes because I know I'm never going to pay that,
Right.
and that's the way I do it. So I think in a way it's like that gives you kind of like the market for how many others are in your price range, and then you can compare.
Right.
I mean, maybe that's not the same exactly with pottery because pieces are not so one-to-one like comparison, but I don't know.
Do you feel that I am pressuring you to raise your prices more?
No.
Oh, that's
No,
good.
I can think that you're
Some-
saying $45 is cheap for a mug, but it doesn't mean I'm going to be like, okay, well, I need to price at this because Heidi thinks I should.
Well, that's good.
I mean, I'm going to do it. What's the reason to increase the price? Is it to, let's say my
So you
fee
work
is
less.
to 45, but why do I want to work less?
So you don't die.
Ryan.
Okay. I would be doing something with my time, right?
Isaac.
What
you
else
wanna
would I
work
be doing
less?
with my time?
What'd you say, Heidi?
Would you like to work less? No?
Negative.
Really?
But see,
You
the
don't want
thing
to spend
is,
more
like,
time with your kids?
Like, I absolutely love working. I absolutely love what I do. And it's like the whole find something that you love and you won't work a day of your life. Like, I love what I'm doing. My wife loves doing it as well because she's also in the studio full time. Our children love the lifestyle of pottery that we've introduced them to. We do not force it on them. We've never told them to come to the studio and hang out with us. I mean, we have a 6-month-old, so she kind of has to. But like, Javi is 6 years old, going on 7.
Yesterday in the car, he was like, what do you want to be? Or you asked him after school, you were like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And he's like, I want to be a potter.
And I mean, we've introduced him to everything. He's done piano lessons. He's played soccer. He's played every sport. He loves books and he's played every instrument. But he's just like, I want to make pottery. It's what he loves. It's what I mean. We all quit the other day, and that dude stayed out there and made a checkerboard out of clay.
Yeah, he was out there by himself.
And yeah, it's like we love what we do so much that we don't really consider it work. There's times where it gets to be work, and that's when it isn't really fun. But like I enjoy what I do, and there's so many parts of pottery, but also like, so we own a gallery, so that adds a whole nother aspect into other than just cranking in the basement. So there's so many different pieces of the process that we personally do that it doesn't feel like we're just working. It's like we feel almost like,
like dragging yourself into this.
yeah, it's like marketing's almost become a hobby because now that pottery's kind of the meat and cheese winner, bread, whatever the saying is, I don't know. I'm not a deep thinker. Been told that before. But if pottery is what it is that makes us the money, the marketing now has become the hobby of now how do we spread this out into the world? So like we're constantly, listening to podcasts, watching different videos, almost like an addiction. I don't know. Maybe it's not healthy, but we love what we do. I don't know.
Right. Okay, I have now I'm gonna ask some serious questions. Isaac, how long have you, I don't know, I really don't. Like, how long have you been doing this full time?
Well, like as definition of 40 hours a week full time, or as this is our
Well,
only?
no, that you like make enough money to support yourself.
She quit her job earlier than I did to raise hobby. I quit teaching in 2021, I believe. I taught 1 year of COVID, so COVID hit like March
Oh, okay.
2020. So I went back to school August 2020, May 2021 was my last time in the classroom. So since May
Oh.
2021, this is the only income that we've had.
For the whole
I didn't
family.
realize that you were a
For the whole
teacher.
Yeah, I taught high school ceramics for 3 years, 4 years, and I taught
Oh.
kindergarten through 8th grade art for 4 years, and I taught a year of special ed before that.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Alternate, do you think back to like, okay, this is what my other option would have been, and you're like, I don't want that, so I'm willing to do this.
I didn't ever necessarily have what I wanted to be or what I want. My parents were both teachers, so for me it was just like that's what I can do. And I always loved the arts, but I also knew you can't make a living as an artist. So you have to have a backup, and it's like do something that's going to give you an income that's teaching, and then in the evenings I can make pots. But we never like had this desire to be potters, We just I got married in South America in 2013 in March, and we came back in July, and we had 2 suitcases of clothes. We had a computer, and we lived in my parents' basement, and I had a kiln and a wheel from before I left. And so it was like, hey, let's go out and make pots. And then it's like, what do you do with these pots? So we started going to just little craft shows. And, you go to a craft show and you make $500, and you're like, whoa, let's find another craft show.
Mm-hmm.
And so
And you were in Harper the whole time.
and we're in Harper. I mean, a little town, southern Kansas, population of 1,500. And it started getting to the point where we would go to every other week in the craft show, and that's not like an art.
Right.
I'm talking a craft show where it's like 5 different people on Main Street in a little town where they're selling corn dogs and whatever, and then this potter.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I've been there. Yep.
And then it just slowly grew and grew,
Mm-hmm.
And then the desire changed more and more to do it.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I didn't start life saying, or even my married life being like, I want to be a full-time potter. Like that was never the
Right.
desire. That was never the wish. Because you don't have that stability always guaranteed as a paycheck. Like if COVID happens, I still got a paycheck being a teacher, even though I was teaching from my office at my house on Zoom. I still had income. Where if you're a full-time potter in COVID, you don't know what's going to happen,
Right.
And it's always nice having that stability. So to quit that and give that away was never really a desire.
Right.
But eventually it got to the point where going to school, physically leaving my studio was making us lose money because we could not complete the orders.
Mm-hmm.
So it became an economic question of, do you continue to have the guaranteed low income, or do you risk it, your kids eating and your mortgage, to potentially keep these orders coming in,
Right.
I think you have to have a certain cross section of like how much you're actually making in your full-time job that is like, okay, where is how big is the gap we're talking about here, and like how much time do you need to close that gap?
Mm-hmm.
Because for you it was like you were building momentum little by little, and
Right. Like I couldn't imagine just saying, hey, I'm going to be a potter. And you just start with no experience of like sales. I mean, you have the experience obviously of making, but like to just say I'm going to do pottery full time. And I had, I think, 10 years of experience doing those before we quit and went full time. I never just, I would have been too scared.
So you're describing me.
Yeah. You just jumped into it, right?
I did, yeah.
did you have other options, or did you have other
options?
were you doing other things, or did you have thoughts of, I'm doing this right now, and you're kind of comparing the pottery option versus different job?
So the only thing that well, because when I graduated from college, you couldn't, 'cause I think now you can be on your parents' health insurance until you're 26.
Mm-hmm.
But when I graduated, you couldn't. So my main concern was having health insurance. And so um, I just bought like a catastrophic plan. So like if I broke my leg or something, you know, I'd have that.
Right.
Sometimes I think maybe I shot myself in the foot, for lack of a better term or phrase, because I didn't do it gradually and I just kind of jumped in. But
Fire. Yeah.
like, I don't know. I don't know if I can change that because I think that's just kind of how, like, that's my personality.
Did you feel like so you're like an all-in personality?
Yeah, I think that drives Joe crazy because he's like, you didn't think about this or this or this, and I'm like, yeah, you're right, I didn't.
Do you feel like you have to have a certain amount of confidence in some of those questions answered up front of what you're going to do? You have to have like a 60% confidence, or you like, okay, I'm good with like 25%?
If I answer too many questions up front, I'll talk myself out of it.
Yeah.
So
Telling yourself excuses to
yeah. So
go
I'm
elsewhere.
just usually like, well, let's just try it and see what happens. And that was my thing. Like I said, let's see if I'll give myself 5 years because I was only like 26. So it's like, we'll see what happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
So
kept working.
when you started doing it like quote unquote full time, were you married?
No, Joe and I were living together.
But you had in your household, you had an income, like he would take care of you if it didn't work.
No.
Oh wow, okay. If it didn't work, he'd be like, all right, peace.
No, I didn't want
You have
him
to
take care of
understand
me.
who Joe is. Yeah, you have to understand that Joe and Heidi have a very independent relationship from each other, but at the same time, like living together.
But did
Right.
some
Like
of
if
that
I
change
needed
when you got
money,
married?
I'm sorry?
Did any of that change when you got married? Like okay, you can take a little more risk because I'm more stable, or like, because you're a unit when you're married, but
I know this, so I feel like I'm having to talk with my mom because this drives her crazy. But like we don't have a joint checking account, and a lot of people are like, "What? We had one, we never used it, so the credit union closed it." But I
okay.
mean, we share things. Like back then, if I needed to borrow money from him, he would give me money. I mean, it wasn't just like he's like Becca's met Joe. He's the sweetest person in the world. He's not like cold-hearted, like I want to see you fail. But he was
This
also
is
the
true.
person that was always in my ear saying, "You need to get paid. Like you're a skilled." He used to say that I was a skilled crafts person. He would say a lot of times that I was like a plumber or an electrician,
Mm-hmm.
which he's not wrong.
Is that from the skill wise and the crafts wise, right?
Yeah,
But
and I think maybe Joe said that now that I'm putting all these pieces together. Joe was a carpenter, and so I think for him, you know, and if you're a carpenter, you can unionize and get paid pretty well.
But some of the
So
difference
this
is
is
those jobs are like, you can't live without a plumber, right? You can live without a
right.
potter. People don't
Yeah.
need to buy mugs. People need their toilets to work.
All right.
Okay.
You know what I
But
mean?
you need beautiful things in your life.
But you don't, like, for survival.
But you do.
No. Have you ever seen a single man? Seen that reel or the meme on Facebook or Instagram where it's like the typical man's house? It's a white wall room with a TV and a pizza box and a chair. Like, men can survive without a mug.
I would like to concur on that one, actually. I grew up in a house with plastic plates and no pottery. So, okay,
Well,
now
no,
I'm
I'm
back
not
to
saying that you need pottery, but don't you need things around you that you enjoy?
Right, but that's going to change by the person, right? Whether it's a
Right.
pottery mug or a plant or
Right.
you know,
but that
whatever
goes back
it
to
is.
what I was saying earlier, that like even if you think $45 is a lot for a mug, you don't have to buy it, right?
Right. There's people out there that will.
Okay.
And there's people that won't. Yeah.
Right. Isaac, how much do you charge? Do you make spoon rests?
Yeah,
How much do you charge for those?
$12.
They're similar to mine. They're bigger than mine though. Yeah, they're nice.
Yeah, they are bigger than yours.
Yeah, $12.
Am I allowed to speak freely?
No, for sure. Yeah, for sure. As long as I'm allowed to speak freely.
That's fine. I feel like this is gonna be the episode where everyone is like, please never have Heidi back. Okay. So like, Isaac, what is like your business model? Because you have kind of like
Make
two lines.
money.
Okay. But you have two separate lines, right?
We have quite a few lines actually.
There's wheel thrown
But
work, hand built work, there's soda work.
There's art, like my wall mugs. There's tableware.
Mm-hmm.
There's sculptural. There's a lot that doesn't hit Facebook. There's a lot that doesn't hit Instagram.
And that's probably your bread and butter stuff that's paying
Yeah,
bills and everything.
For
right?
sure.
What do you make the most money on?
Mini pumpkins.
Mini pumpkins?
Golf ball sized pumpkins. It's our number one selling item all year and makes the most money for us.
Wait, you sell them all year long?
Nope. We sell them for 1 month.
So
Can
you
you
make enough
use
off of pumpkins to sustain you for the year?
Could we live off of those?
Yeah.
No. That's just the number one selling item. So we sell them for $6. And she makes about she makes about 3,000 of them each year.
3,000?
Mini pumpkins.
Wow. That's a lot.
Hoarding all the stickies.
It's a lot.
How
What
do you
happened
know?
to Becca?
She's good. She's just
Oh. Oh,
There's people, just so everybody knows,
there's people in the
there's,
studio.
I'm in the gallery because there's no other internet around here. It's been an issue continuously, but there's people here, so I've been muting myself so that I'm not, and you guys are chatting, so you're fine. I'm just doing the math on the mini pumpkins.
3,006, but you also sell them in batches too.
It's the same price.
The same price. Okay. They're always $6 a piece.
Mm-hmm.
So that's $18,000 in mini pumpkins.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. Okay, bye.
And those are like easy to make.
I don't make them. Karina makes every one of them. She's our
You
number
said
one. She's our number one person.
you said Karina's back in the studio?
I'm back now.
Not really. I mean, we
Oh,
have a
she's
6-month-old, so she's kind of raising the baby more than anything.
Oh, okay.
So what happens to the mini pumpkins this year?
She'll make them. We start pumpkin making on May 5th or 6th, more or less, and then our big pumpkin show is September 7th. Then we'll sell pumpkins through till they sell out, which is usually first week of October.
Yeah, Isaac hasn't thrown a pumpkin yet either. They're gonna throw those in,
Y'all start
in
May.
May.
Yeah. We have a big show at our gallery May 4th, all about spring. So all the energy right now goes to that. And then once that's over, we move into pumpkins. Once that's over, we move into Christmas.
Yeah, so Heidi, just so you kind of know, because he's not explaining things very well, Isaac's, they do 3 main shows a year, right? You got your spring, your fall, and then your Christmas.
Yeah.
And those main shows pretty much fund their whole life.
Yeah.
And
so we do 3
so-
events. So we work. The very first event is usually the last weekend of April. This year it's the first weekend of May. We just try to get it as close to Mother's Day, but we have to work around the local graduations because you can't have a show on the same day as the town graduation. Nobody will be here. Luckily this year it's a week later, so we moved our show back a week. So it's May 4th this year. And it's the only show. We live a mile outside of our town. We have 5 acres. We have a 2,000 square foot gallery right at our house, and it has a cool front lawn right outside the gallery. So for this first show, we call it the Market at Mostaza. So it's like starting off farmers market around the area, and we invite 6 other artists. Well, creatives, not really artists. We have a cheesecake maker from Denver, Colorado who comes in. We have a acrylic painter from Kansas City who comes down. But we actually pick like fine artwork, fine creatives. We don't just do like the Norwex lady who wants to come and have a booth. Like we try to find quality things to bring into our town since it's so rural, to give people a look of those beautiful things they need to live. Like, yeah, I agree with you. We do need those, but not everybody will agree with us. So that's what that spring show is about. We do planters, we do hanging planters. I've got birdhouses this year. We have wind chimes. We do these honeybee mugs that we're working on. And just do everything spring. And it's kind of our smallest one. It's our newest one, so it's still growing, but we get about 500 people there, and we have live music, we have food, we have everything. So that is from January, February through May. We work on that. Then we have an adult ceramic pumpkin patch where I make 800 wheel thrown pumpkins, and Karina makes 3,000 mini pumpkins. She makes about 300 candles. We have pumpkin mugs. I mean, it's just like a humongous clay fall fest. And we get 500 to 600 people of that. And then we have Michiana Pottery Tour, which we go to. But then after that, we start Christmas, and we have a huge holiday sale where it's just everything, snowflakes, Christmas, end of year holidays. I say Christmas because, I mean, primarily everybody in rural Kansas is Christian. But, I mean, we call it our holiday open house, and respect that not everybody is Christian, but that's just kind of what we do. So we have those 3 shows, and like Becca said, I mean, that's enough for us to live. But then we have the gallery open weekly, and Saturdays every week are kind of our go-to day.
So at these events, because now you're like convincing me that maybe I should do that. How, like, you don't have to be specific, but like a ballpark, how much are you making on these weekends? It's a weekend thing?
It's just 4 hours on a Saturday.
It's a one day?
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so how much are you making in 4 hours, ballpark?
Enough to
Well,
live.
you don't have to answer that question.
It's better than my shows.
Yeah, so maybe I should do
Let's
that.
just say like a teacher salary, maybe.
Okay. And that's at every one.
Hard maybe. I mean, the thing is, like, I have no problem with people talking about their finances. It's just we're a unicorn, and it's not. I mean, we've busted our ass to get to that, but I know it's a lot. Like,
Well, plus you're also supporting a family of 4, right?
yeah, correct. And we have people that work us off and on, so. But it's like, I mean, it's like they said, like, we love what we do, and we know we hustle. But it's not like we're working 4 hours a day and all of a sudden we have this huge success. And it's not like in 4 hours, you make that much money. Yeah, but we busted ass for 4 freaking months.
Right.
Like, there's days I put in 16 hours, especially leading up to it. And yeah, that's not like the hustle culture. Yeah. And we realize it is not maintainable. We want to do this for 5 to 10 years while we're young and slowly build it back.
Okay.
And what we've done is, I mean, we used to go to 15 to 25 shows a year, and now we've pushed it back to 3 shows at our house where we just here,
And then maybe 2 other events. You got Pottery Tour.
And we do Pottery Tour, and we do our county fair, which sounds like and it is the biggest, like, hillbilly fest, but it's freaking really, really good to us.
Right.
And we see a lot of our people that we went to school with growing up. And it's really kind of cool. So we do basically those two events outside of our house.
Well, that makes sense. And so, like, that's what I was going to say, because you said, like, you eventually want to scale back how much you're working. And Ryan, even you said it's not sustainable. So, like, when I started, I worked like that too, but I guess that's part of raising your prices too. Like, your expenses go up, but like you also need to save for retirement and all those
So
things.
yeah, so
Life and insurance.
is that kind of the side of it where you might tell me, okay, 45 is not enough, so you need to or 45 is still cheap. So, okay, you need to do what you can to get up to that number because you're going to need that money to pay for things like health insurance and retirement or whatever else. Because, like, in the short term, okay, it's good now, but what about when you rely on it fully? Like, how much of that's going to get chopped off the top because you're using those funds elsewhere with your other job today.
Right. I don't think a $45 mug is cheap. I don't think that's cheap.
Question, Heidi, like what is on that $45 mug? Because that's the thing is like, yeah, I can agree it's cheap depending on what that mug is, but when I hear like someone say my mug is this, I think the most basic mug, I threw a cylinder, threw a handle on it, didn't even trim it because I can thumb it off, dipped it in one glaze and fired. Like to me, that is the most, if you really need a mug, that's your mug.
Basic MUG mug there.
Yeah.
But if you're going to throw these bumblebees on it like we're doing right here, yeah,
So how much are your bumblebee mugs?
These are 40.
Oh, okay. I think that's, okay. I think what complicates this is if you decide, and I keep going back to this, I know, is if you want to sell wholesale. Like if you don't want to sell wholesale, your prices can be lowered. But
what percentage of us do you think sell wholesale? I would say most people don't sell wholesale.
You don't want to sell wholesale. Why would you want to do that?
It's easier to sell to stores and to individuals.
And because
No, it's not.
For me, it might not be for you.
Oh, okay.
Right. So, but what I was going to say is like the thing that frustrates me a lot is people will say, they are part of the Warren McKenzie School of Ceramics, where ceramics has to be accessible to everyone. And he was selling work for $5 or a piece for $5, but he was a professor. So it didn't matter.
Yeah.
He could do that.
Because he had that other income?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, right, for sure.
And so like that's fine. And I don't know if that's fine. But if like someone is being subsidized by either a spouse or another job, it screws the whole community because we're artificially lowering our prices.
But why? I feel like I said this. You want to say something?
No.
Okay. I feel like I was thinking about this recently. Like the whole, hey, it's affecting the market and you're hurting those around you. Like, why is it okay to tell somebody, hey, you need to raise your price? Like, your price is killing us because people lower their expectations of what something's priced, but you can't say like, hey, your price is too high. Like, you're hurting us because people you're overvaluing your quality, but you can't say that because people would say, how dare you tell me like what I need to charge for my stuff, like how much value I'm worth or something like that.
So first of all, I wouldn't do either of those things. I wouldn't tell someone they needed to raise their prices. I wouldn't tell someone they needed to lower their prices. I was invited on this podcast to talk about pricing.
No. I'm just saying a hypothetical because I feel like it's socially acceptable to say, hey, your price is too low. You need to raise it because you're hurting those around you. I'm not saying this to you, Heidi. I'm just saying that is a common thing that is said. Like, hey, your price too low. You need to raise your price. Like, that's not uncommon to hear at a show if there's somebody. And then, but it's not okay to be like, hey, why is it priced this high? Because it's like, that's rude. Right? You don't want to hear that from
I think it's rude to tell somebody that they need to raise their price too.
Yeah, I do too.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, And also on top of that, did I just lose my complete train of thought? Yes, I did. Also, nope, lost it. Anyway, I still think it's rude to like tell somebody that they need to raise their prices.
Yeah.
It's
I do too.
it's absolutely ridiculous to even comment on somebody's prices. Now, I think that a not rude way to do it is to say, "Hey, here, keep the change." Like, you know, like buy the mug.
What they're charging, just give them more money for it.
Yeah, like buy the mug and just give them what you think it's worth. That's fine. But like, you can't be going around telling people like, "Ugh, you're pricing your shit too low." Like,
Right.
that's especially at a show. Like, fuck off. But like,
Have you had people
Also-
tell you that, Becca?
I don't price my shit too low. I've had people tell me
I'm not talking about these days. I'm talking about in the past. Has people said
Well,
your prices were significantly lower back in the day with your production?
you mean like when my cups were $15 and I lived in
Yes.
Indiana and they were like, wow, these are way too expensive. I would never buy a
No,
cup
I meant
for
in
$15.
Washington. In Washington, and when you did other shows, were your prices relative to the area, or were they priced too low?
I feel like they were probably priced a little too low. But also, I wasn't good enough I don't think I was good yet, enough to have like quality.
But
priced
at that time, when you were there in that mindset, you thought your pieces were good because that's human nature.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody. I remember like.
Yeah,
in
I think that
my
they were
pieces
priced.
shit, and I went home and I made a freaking blog about my art, and somehow I Googled myself like a year ago and found this stupid blog. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, but you automatically you think you are real freaking good, so nobody goes to those shows going, well, I suck because I'll be better in 20 years. Hell no, everyone's like, oh hell yeah, look at this $15 mug right here. This is awesome.
I think that first of all, I think that I had, I want to say my mug started at $16. I got told that they were way too expensive at $16. And that was in Washington, yes. And then like, I think I upped them to like 18 to 20. And I think at the time I could have sold them for more. But I think that I could have sold them for more. I should have sold them for more because if I had sold them for more, I wouldn't have gotten burned out because that's exactly what I did. I sold my shit for way too cheap. I made too much stuff. I got depressed and I worked too hard. I worked 90 hours a week and I made $70,000 that year. And like I was selling
Gross or profit?
a lot. Not profit, I can tell you that. Like I sold $70,000 worth of stuff and I was working my ass off and I was selling my shit for way too cheap. Like I sold bowls for like $12, like freaking pasta bowls for $12 in a flash sale. Like
But would raising those prices back then made you more money?
I
Or
think
would have
so.
it scared off more people?
No, I think it would have.
Because just
Because-
raising prices doesn't automatically mean you're just making the same amount of sales. as
No,
number
that's
one.
true. That's true, but I think it would have because back then I had such a good community that they probably would have bought whatever I had no matter what.
Why did
Like-
you? Because you've said on the podcast that you historically have been intentional about your pricing so that your neighbor could afford it. For instance, you've mentioned that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that I did mention that and I still think that, but also my neighbor wasn't me at the time. I always thought that like my neighbor was me and I was poor as fuck. Like poor. And so now that I make, I don't know, $40,000 a year, maybe $35,000 a year, I can afford a $20 bowl. I spend $20 on more stupid things. Even if my bowls were $20 instead of $12, I would have done better. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Better as
It's
in
not a
felt burned
question
out,
of-
or because what if the sales weren't
Probably
there?
not
What if
felt
you
as
raised it and
burned
they
out.
don't sell?
No, they would have sold. They would have sold.
They would have sold.
They would have sold. There's no way.
But there is a way, right? It could.
There's a will. There's a way.
I don't know.
Brian,
Bowls
you-
just don't sell, dude. We don't sell
So-
bowls.
I get it. You gotta try it, right? Or
If
you
I
can
sold
try it.
bowls for $20 now, I would sell out immediately because that's cheap AF for my
But
stuff.
what
right
kind
now.
of bowl? That's my biggest thing. Is everybody says, "Oh, I can sell my bowls." I mean, is that like a fancy bowl? Is that
No, it's like a pasta bowl.
Just
Just a basic bitch
just
pasta
a
bowl.
1 minute pull, 3 pulls, dip it in white glaze, and sell it for $20?
I'd probably not do white, but yeah, maybe turquoise.
I didn't sell many
but
cereals
yes.
at all last year. I'm considering not even making them.
Dude, bowls don't sell, man. Nobody wants
Your
a
cereal bowls are squared out. That's why they don't sell as well.
Mine?
Yeah, they like. They
I don't square anything. You're talking about it's not a smooth curve, is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Well,
Can we
I stopped
back up
making
for
the
one-
shallow bowls.
Can we back up for 1 second?
Yeah. Go ahead.
We were talking about people coming to your booth and telling you to raise your prices.
Yeah.
No.
People used to
Oh,
say
that
to
was
me,
just. Oh, go on.
Oh, people used to say, "Oh, this is very reasonable."
You're talking about a customer?
Yeah, customers used to say that all the time.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've had people say, "Oh yeah, like I think the quality is very, it's affordable." I mean, in a way, you could say, "Oh, affordable means that you're underpricing," or you could be like, "Affordable means I can get this and I'm not feeling the strain." I guess I don't know.
I think they say it in a way thinking they're bashing other potters. Like other
No, I
potters.
think they're like, I expected this to be more expensive and it's not. So like, I'm happy. But like
'Cause
maybe
they're
they
used
get
to
it.
seeing very expensive pottery.
I don't know. And maybe that's a sign that they're like, oh, well, you could charge more. But that's also one experience. Like, I don't know. There could be people that are like, oh, like this was a stretch for me, but I really love it, so I'm willing to spend on it.
Oh, is
I
the
mean,
moral of
there's
this
just no
podcast,
good.
Start cheap and just raise your prices.
I don't think it I think, you know what I think? Honestly, I don't think it matters. Like, okay, so I don't think it matters what your price is, honestly. Like, when somebody is coming to your booth, they're coming to your booth because they like your stuff. They're like walking in because they like the look of your stuff. They don't even know the price when they're coming in. And most of the time, people pick things up before they even see the price. And once they've picked it up, they've decided that they want to buy it. Like, for instance, I had a garbage show this last week. And I knew it was going to be garbage, but like, I had 6 sales and I made $500, okay? And do you know how many people walked into my booth? Maybe 10. Okay? 10 people. Okay?
How many people were at the
Like,
whole show?
what?
How many people were at the show?
Oh my God, like hundreds. I just, for some reason, nobody likes my shit. So, but the point is that the people that came into the booth usually bought something, right? And I sold $300 cups in those 6 sales, okay? And along with those $100 cups, I sold other things. They did not give a flying shit what the cost was. Like,
But I think that's
the amount of
depending on
times,
the people,
the amount of times that I have told people what the price is and they're like, I think I'll pass, is definitely outweighed by the amount of times that people pick them up and I say, did you see the price? And they're like, yep. And they hand it to me and buy it.
But I think that's happening internally when you have the price already on there. Like if they have to ask you, that's a little more of a commitment and they feel on the spot. If they just pick up a thing and they see the price, they're having that little thing in their brain immediately. And you're not.
Well,
you're
they
not-
could pick up the
not-
earrings and look at it, but they don't. Like, even if the price is there, even if the price is out in like a neon sign, they would not see the fucking price. Okay, like, I think we already know that people don't read.
True.
I don't know. I think the price is the assuming that they don't know you at a show. I think the look of the piece is. probably the majority of the percentage of like, does it meet what they're looking for? But I feel like the price is still a pretty big consideration for most people, in my opinion. I think the price matters a lot.
That's because the price matters to you a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, the price matters to me too, but I understand that some people actually have money.
But you're not your target audience, right?
Yeah.
Do you think the price matters? For sure. Do you care about the price of? Are you like me, like thinking about the price of everything?
I would say that's changed over time. I mean, it's changed with my economic security, and it's also changed with my age. I think, in a weird way, I also think price matters less the younger the age of a person.
Oh, I agree.
For example, our parents' generation, it matters a ton because they grew up pinching every penny. Where kids these days, I mean, their parents will buy them a Starbucks every single day. They don't know what money is. They don't care. They're just used to spending money. And then as they get older, that's the lifestyle that they choose to live, even though they don't have money. They have credit cards and they can pay that off later. Mm-hmm. And that, I mean, I see that a lot. Like, just for example, the other day, 2 ladies, I would assume they were 75, came into the gallery. And they walked over to our soda mugs, which are $40 in the gallery. And the lady goes, $40 for a mug. Can you believe that? And they put it right back down. And it's like, yeah, people buy those all the freaking time. And it's $40.
Yeah.
But then they went to the $20 mug shelf and they're like, oh, $20. Oh, yeah, great. Yeah, I can get 2 of these. So they still spent their $40. They just got 2 mugs.
Hey everybody, so we're taking a break from the episode today to talk about the newest plug-and fire kiln from L&L. It is a Cone 10 kiln and it runs on 120 volts. So you can plug this into any outlet. It's truly a plug-in anywhere kiln. We're looking forward to trying it out ourselves. It has all the greatest and best things about L&L that you can expect. So it's got the Genesis controller with the touchscreen, all that good stuff. It's got the element channels, so you know the ceramic things that hold in your elements so that they don't fall out. You don't have to worry about pins and all that good stuff. It's got a thermocouple, you know, the stainless steel case, and it's ready to go when you get it. So you can plug that into any 120 volt outlet. And the great thing about the power usage is it only runs on 12.5 amps. So it cannot trip a 15 amp breaker. So you can truly plug it into any outlet you're ready to plug it into, not worry about tripping a breaker. I've done that a time or 2 with my kiln, and you don't have to worry about that. So if you want to check out the specs for this kiln, the pricing, all that good stuff, you can go to hotkilns.com and see all the details. Thanks everybody, and back to the episode.
So yeah, it does matter. It's just,
it also matters where you live. Like,
for
something that you and Heidi have going for you is that you are in areas of the country that really value craft. Okay?
You as in Heidi and Isaac, or Heidi and Ryan?
No, Heidi and Ryan. Heidi and Ryan are in areas of the country that really value craft. Okay? No, not Isaac. Not Isaac, and not where I am right now. I'm in Utah right now, and people would scoff. Like, they're like, absolutely not. I will not buy that for that price or whatever, because they don't even like art, okay? They like rocks. Like, their version of art is a rock, okay? Like,
I mean, they're surrounded by beauty if they care. Yeah, they like the mountains and the view and stuff like that.
Right. So I think that also matters, like where you live. And we talked about this all the time before I moved from Washington. I was saying how interesting it would be to do shows where you are as opposed to shows in Washington. And when I came out there, my expectation of a show skyrocketed. I was like, oh, well, now I can make $1,200 in a day, easy. And when I was in Washington, $1,200 in 3 days was great. You know what I'm saying? So, like, that also matters, because people are conditioned in your area of the world to pay more for certain things. When I went down to LA, I was like convinced that people were going to buy my stuff because there's money in LA. They like bright colors. And then when I get down there, every vendor is like, no. This is fake money. They don't actually have
cost
money.
more there. And you'd be like, okay, well, they have money because, or maybe they don't because it's spent elsewhere on other things that they
Exactly.
need.
It's spent on things that are designers so that they can look cool and so that they can walk around and be in the like the cool kids club, but they're not going to buy it on like a handmade item that's like, doesn't matter if it's $20 or if it's $50. They're not even going to look at you. Go ahead, Heidi.
Can I tell you a funny story?
Yes.
All of you? Okay, so you remember that I got that anonymous letter a couple years ago?
Yeah.
And then I got an anonymous postcard in the beginning of October. So anyways, I had a event at the studio, and this woman comes in, and I know her. She's a local billionaire. She is a local billionaire, okay?
Mhm.
With a
She's
B.
done it before, yeah. Just so we are clear, B. She walks in, she looks at some of the mugs, and she goes, I can't believe you get $92 for a mug. And I said, oh, are you the one that's sending me the anonymous hate mail? Right? I was just trying to make a joke. And she starts backpedaling, and she's like, well, no, I didn't do that. And they shouldn't be doing that. Like, actually, this is good for women in business. And I was like, yeah, I bet they're not sending men these anonymous letters, right? Long story short, she ended up buying a $92 mug. She's a billionaire. So if a billionaire is going to complain about a $92 mug, like, you can't please everyone, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think it depends on what people value and what they expect the value to be of it. Like, how they
Right.
Right. And then I got her to buy a mug anyway.
Well, I mean, it sounded like she probably felt a little guilty.
Well, you
asking
you
the question.
pitied her into that. That was a
I-
pity buy
Pity
for
sale?
sure.
I honestly think that people, like, half of the money that people choose to spend, they're buying you as an artist, like you as a person. It depends how you
Agreed.
make them feel when they're in your space, in your booth, in your gallery, in your house, wherever.
Because Isaac, when I met you, I wasn't planning on buying any of your work, and then I talked to you, and I was like, man, this guy's awesome. I'll buy a cup.
Yeah, that's right. Heck yeah, because I remember you were like, I am not coming to Machina Pottery Tour. I'm not buying a single mug. And I think we were like your first stop, and you left with one
Yeah.
of my most expensive mugs. And I
I did.
was like, who was that?
Because a wall mug is not a $20 mug.
No, yeah, no,
No.
not at all. But see, that's the other thing is
I
like,
also bought one because of Isaac too.
Yeah.
Before
I
he
know
got
there's
famous.
more than there's only two halves and a whole, but like people buy half you as an artist, they buy half your work, and they buy half the story of the mug or the piece, and half education. I mean, if you just educate people instead of judging them and get pissed off, what do you mean $40 for a mug? Why don't you just leave? If you like, if you educate them and walk over and say, yeah, well, this is a soda mug, and I do this all the time. Is like I push the buttons on my computer kiln and I go to bed, and that's what these cheap mugs are. This one I have to manually babysit the kiln. We had 10 pounds of a baking soda solution. We do this, we do this. Sometimes half the mugs are ruined because it was a horrible firing. When you just educate them on what's going on in the craft that we do, people don't know. And that's the worst. People have no freaking clue. They see these quick throwing videos on Instagram where somebody can throw a mug in 30 seconds. So the main question I get is, how long did it take you to make this? Because then they're like, oh, you can throw this in 1 minute and you're charging 140? Well, yeah, but it took me 4 other hours of actually hands-on time. So just the whole education process compared to like judging people for being arrogant about not knowing our craft, it sells a lot.
Yeah. I have a funny story as well. So, this was a long time ago when I was selling in Leavenworth. I was selling sponge holders at the time, and the sponge holders were like $18, right? Which, by the way, are more than almost more than Ryan's spoon rest now. Anyway, this lady like came into my booth and she was like, $18. She goes, would you do a deal for 2? And I was like, no. They take a lot of work, and I'm just not willing to do a deal for those. She's like, oh, are you sure? And I was like, yeah. And she like picks up 2 and then she brings them to my table and she goes, are you sure you're not going to do a deal for 2? And I was like, no. And then this bee goes, good for you.
What does B mean?
Like,
I'm in a gallery.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So she just goes, good for you. And then she buys both of them. And I was like, was she testing me this whole time? Like this
No,
bitch.
she was trying to get a deal and she knew she lost. But like,
Yeah,
so
she
what?
knew she lost.
So what is everybody's thoughts on giving pots away? Like, so for example, if she comes up and says, "Will you make me a deal?" and I'll be like, "Yeah, take them both for free." And then she says, "No, no, no," and I'm like, "Yeah, like if you need it more than I do, take them for free. That's fine. I need my pieces in the world. Like, go write me a review. Do something. If you need them that bad, if you need the discount that bad that you're gonna save those $2 is gonna help your family eat and not mine, take them for free."
Dude,
And I know
Isaac, I would just love for you to make people feel bad.
I'm like, Isaac, are you a Jedi? Like, what the fuck, dude? Have you done that?
Have I done that?
Yeah.
Oh, all the fucking time. Yeah, we give
And
more.
people take them?
We give tons of pots away.
And people they take them.
For sure. But that's the thing is those are going to be returning customers. You have
That's
to,
true, yeah.
rely, like in our gallery, we rely on people coming back in a small town. The other day, some of the richest people, not the billionaires, but millionaires came in here. They bought 4 mugs, and then they asked me about my wine cups. They said, "Do your wine cups work?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, you pour wine and you drink it." And I'm like, "Well, does it? What? I don't even know. What does it mean? Does the air get into it? Does it?" I have no idea. And I was like, I don't know. I just make them and they're comfortable. And they said, "Oh, okay. Well, we were just curious because we're wine connoisseurs and we were just wondering if they actually work." And so I just walked over and I wrapped one up, stuck it in their bag, and I say, "Take it home and tell me so I can let others know if they work or not."
Oh.
And like, so just things like that. Like, I'm willing because they're going to come back. They're going to hold that wine cup. They're going to come buy 4 or 5 more. Or if I did not give them that one, they would never buy one.
That's true, but also you have a home field advantage on that point. Like if I was at a show in Utah and the next week I'm at a show in Nevada,
for sure. For sure.
Like I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, no. And that's the exact same thing as knowing you have to price your stuff according to your geographic location.
But I will say this, and I agree that you do have to price your stuff according to your geographic location, but you also have to be aware that the more, like, if you don't raise your prices over time, you are going to work yourself to death.
Oh, yeah, you have to.
You
I didn't.
Yes, yeah, you don't have to. So I'll tell you a little story.
I mean, I didn't raise my prices over time and I burned myself out. And so like you saying that you gave those pots away, like that like made me panic at first because I just remember like at a time in my life, like needing that money so bad that like I couldn't give the pots away. But then when you gave that second example of like giving a cup, like I've done things like that now that I feel more financially secure. But when you're living in that scarcity, like I don't think you can think clearly like that.
I think a lot of it too is not many people are actually going to take the pot. Like when you put that guilt on them saying, well, if that $2 is really if that's all you really need out of my pocket to help you get by, they're going to be like, oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'll pay full price.
Yeah.
It's complicated.
It's awful. That's what it is.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I feel like some of it's like you get analysis by paralysis or whatever, paralysis by analysis, where I don't know. For me, I'm like, okay, I got to get sales at this and then work my way up just so I feel confident that I'm like in a spot that makes sense. Because like I don't like to see pots just piling up and getting dusty. Like I want to get those out of my life and I'm going to give them away or put them in mystery boxes and I'm going to undervalue them at some point. But it's like,
oh, I am not saying like not to have sales. Like, yeah, I
no.
mean, right.
No, that's just kind of the way I think about the pricing. It's like, am I working at a pace that I am satisfied with? I get it. It's not maintainable long term, but that's why I raise my prices little by little so that I'm hopefully making fewer items each year. And it's not, like, you can only spend your time doing so much. So, like, how much do I want to spend my time throwing, and how much do I want to spend my time like teaching a workshop, or going to these shows? Like, there's only so much time in a day and in a year. And like, how do I feel about it overall? Like, we probably get a sense of how we feel stress wise, working wise. Like, sure, is my working style and motivation and all of that like maintain, like, can I copy and paste that from me to somebody else? No. But like, it's what I can handle, and that's kind of the way I go about it. And that's just the overall, how do I feel about it? How stressed do I feel? And that's how I think about it.
I think that also, like, when we talk about this, it's interesting because me and Heidi are in the same boat, and I feel like you and Isaac are in the same boat. I don't know about Isaac as much, but I know that me and Heidi have failed really bad in our past. Like, failed. Like, down in the dirts failed. And the reason we fail is because we take risks. And because we do the certain things we do. And you, I know for sure, Ryan, is a lot more calculated in the way that he does things. And I would go to say that you were not big on the failure scale.
Why do you think it is? Because I don't take risk?
Well, there's a lot of reasons. But I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that you are, well, there's some financial stability that you have so that you are able to not take risks. And
do you that think has differently if it, let's say I made exactly what I need for my day job without the excess, and like, do you think I would make decisions differently, I guess?
If you made as much as I did,
I make what I need. I make like twice of what I need to live on. Let's just say that. So like, pottery is completely on top of it, like cherry on top. All the pottery sales are cherry on top. So I'm like, do you think I would mentally make different decisions if I was more in a scarcity and like I really needed it?
All of us are nodding our heads.
For sure.
100%.
Because like, even though like I had Joe, like, we weren't married, but like, I mean, we helped each other. He didn't make a lot of money himself. He wasn't like, he came from, I'm not trying to tell Joe's story, but Joe doesn't come from money at all. Like, Appalachian poor, okay? So like, that's his life. Like, I don't come from a lot of money, so like, we didn't have a lot of resources available to us. So like, we had to bootstrap it, we had to do what we had to do. But like, living in that we talk about this a lot now too, because like, now I wouldn't say well off, but we're stable. Like, those years of living in scarcity, it messes with you. Like, because now it's like, well, do we have enough for this? Do we have enough for that? And it's like, okay. Like, I didn't sleep for years because I was so worried about money. And that's sad. And I wish someone would have like sat me down and been like, it doesn't have to be this way. Like, you could raise your prices a little bit. Like you said, like $2 even, $5. It's not like a crazy amount.
I mean, I don't know about, well, Isaac, I don't know how you felt when you like quit your day job and like moved to like full time. What were the thoughts that were going through your like brain, like through that, like not even just pricing, but just like selling and working, like how much you're working and like stuff like that? I kind of know a little bit, but.
Right. I mean, I don't know. I don't even remember. Like, we also, I mean, I'm very much like Ryan. Like, we're not big risk takers. we didn't, I mean, we worked our day jobs while our pottery was consistently growing every year. It wasn't like we just said, we know what we're going to do, we're going to quit and just pray it goes good. Like, we knew it was going good. So it wasn't really that big of a scare. It was obviously the holy shit, we're doing this. Like, I cannot believe we're not going to get a paycheck. But I think more what got to me were like comments from people, like I don't know if somebody's going to listen to this or not, but somebody really close to me, like day 2 was like, so it's kind of cool. You don't have to wake up tomorrow, right? I'm like, I have to wake up probably earlier. Like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, you don't have a job anymore. And I'm like, really? I don't have a job? Like, but it's still that
You don't have a desk job, right?
we still get that consistent comments from people and people close to you, like, hey, can you come over here quick and help me unload this mower? It's like,
No.
I'm working until 4 o'clock. Well, but you could if you wanted to. Well, yeah, I could, but I also could be working. So it's just more that than the actual money, you know? It's
I'm really glad that you brought that up because I think I had a lot of like very bad people pleasing things when I was younger in my 20s and my 30s where people would do that to me and I couldn't say no. And then like I'm working later in the studio to get my work done because I was doing this other thing for this other person.
mm-hmm.
And that was part of the burnout. Like I can't be everything to everyone, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
At what point do you have to go through that to realize what your boundaries are versus like, could you have known that early on to be like, you know what, I'm going to build this boundary because I know that it could lead to something worse if I keep saying yes.
I think that for me, like, I think that's just how I was raised to like give people the shirt off your back and
Mm-hmm. For sure.
like, but the problem was like I gave too much. You
I think
know?
we're taught to. We're taught to never say no and to think of others
Yeah.
first, which is good. I agree. We should think of others first. But you also have to think of your security and your family, especially when you have kids in the
Yeah.
picture. It's like
Right.
it's hard. Yeah, it's just hard.
So here's another thing. Like, here's a question, I guess. Now I feel like I kind of know the answer to this, but nobody else does. What does like growing old look like? I mean, if you're in this state of working so much right now, what does getting older and not being as able look like? Like, are you working towards like saving? Are you working towards working less? Like, what does that look like to all of you?
Were you asking? I was like, who are you asking this?
To all of you. Because I always used to say I'm on the work till you die program, but that's not realistic. It's really just not. Like, I mean, it is if you do die, but like,
Because you have like physical like you can't physically make production like you used to. So like you've kind of hit a certain point where
yeah.
physical needs are not there to.
Right. And I mean, like, I'm at this point where I literally can't work that long during the day with my hands because my hands can't work that long. And like, what happens when that happens? You know, you have to have something in place, at least a plan of some sort to, or like when Isaac, when your kids go off to college and you and your wife want to go travel and you want to retire, like what's the plan? Like, do we have a plan for that? Or is it just like, yeah.
Flash sales. No, I mean, yeah, like for us, I don't know what the plan is. I mean, it's a great question, but it's also, I don't know.
Like if you just had the 3 shows on the docket for the year.
Like we have our goal of what we want to accomplish, like how far we want to build it, and then just start kind of saving. Like we have, I would say, 2 more big things we want to do, and then pay everything off, and then start saving. Whether that's right or wrong, I don't know. It's also
And I mean-
unique for everybody. Like 401ks for everybody, I don't think it's the right answer either, you know? It's
Right.
It works for some people, it doesn't for others, you know?
But like, do you want to retire? Is there a point where you want to stop working?
I don't know. I don't think about it like that. Like,
I think it's too far out to think like 40 years from now, because
Okay.
I don't know.
40 years?
I think it's important to say for retirement, but also like, I get there is a risk that my body will not be able to maintain. But I think that's where you slowly move your selling and your pricing so that you make fewer items, so that you're looking out for your body, but you also need to maintain your physical well-being so that you can do that, like getting enough sleep so that you're not, and just like being aware that, okay, like if I hurt myself, I need to be able to sell enough product so that I can make it through this blip. Or, I mean, you might get hit by a car and then you can't do anything for however long, given that you survive. Like, I mean, you've got a plan for that's a possibility, sure.
I think
So
like
in-
my idea might be like we're pushing real hard right now as a couple, as a family. And each year I think we're pushing less, and raising your prices could be a little bit of this slowly. But I also like we want to eventually be able to like employ people in our town and grow that way, which I know doesn't always create more money directly in your pocket, but the less I work, it puts the work on somebody else that we're paying until you slowly phase yourself out of the business and you sell it.
Yeah.
Or you continue to make money and you don't even work. Like people are doing it for you under your name. I mean, like
Those
not
mugs
like
that we decaled.
yeah. So like Ryan has basically ran our studio for a week while I have watched him, and it's pretty fun. Um, but I mean, I know that's not also feasible for 1 out of 2,000 potters. You know, it would be
Yeah.
a lot like East Fork maybe would be something like that where the owners of that could easily do that, you know, and sell the business. Yeah, I don't know. There's so much to think about in this life just to get from day to day. And you start thinking about retirement and 50 years down the road, you spend so much time and it's not even guaranteed.
We're up to 50 now? 50 years? Really?
No,
When
no,
you're 80?
I'm only 22. I mean, what, 72?
when I was
You're
in my
86?
30s, yeah.
That's really good math, Becca. I'm surprised.
When I was in my 30s, I had 3 different surgeries that took me out of the studio for a significant amount of time. And the first time I didn't have any money saved. And I think that's when that started. That's when I switched to slip casting and putting less of me in the business. I don't want to retire, but I know that I will have to slow down. Like that's probably, that's inevitable. But like I'm realistic about it. So like even like right now, like I took last week off, Bobby was still here running everything. And like for a long time, like I couldn't have given up that control, but now I'm like, he's just he's as much a part of this as I am.
yeah. I think you definitely have to there are steps of everybody's process, I think, that you could delegate. And that's, not prepping clay, that's saving a lot of time as well as just my body. That I'm like, I'm happy to pay somebody to do that. And it's not like rocket science with most of this stuff.
You guys prep your clay?
I don't throw.
As in
so.
you two? Oh, yeah, okay. Well,
When I used to throw, my dad, who was retired, he wedged my clay for me.
I just never thought about people, prepping your clay. And like last night, I went to bed at 9:30. Ryan goes to bed at like 2. So I'm like, what are you going to do? And he's like,
No, I went to bed at 12:30.
He's like, I don't know. He's like, what are you going to make tomorrow? I was like, oh, mugs. What else? Bud vases. How much does a mug weigh? I was like, 14 ounces. What do you throw at the bud vase? I was like, 8 ounces. I went up the studio this morning. There are so many freaking balls of clay rolled video because this dude prepped it and it was like
I did 2 boxes of clay.
still at 8 ounces. That's
Just
a
for
whole
you,
lot
buddy.
of balls.
Just
Like
for you.
I went out there and
You
like
would
got
never
to
do
work.
that for me.
It was well.
I would do that for you.
Oh.
But
Oh, I would do that for you
Isaac-
too.
plus also this guy's like being a dad all day as well as like bouncing around the studio any chance he can get. So I'm like, I'm gonna be up. I gotta watch a movie. I don't know what to do. I'm leaving tomorrow. So like I don't want to spend my time doing like throwing that I'm not gonna take the pieces. So I'm like,
But it just makes me realize like how much energy you put into prep somebody else can do, and it's not rocket
Dude.
science.
Yeah.
That's why I was so mad that I had to prep my own clay when I threw for you.
She never threw for me.
That's well, I'll never throw again for you because you never keep inviting. You don't invite me back because you hate me.
That's not true. We don't have a big enough parking spot for a van.
Fuck off. You have 5 acres.
My
Actually,
truck's stuck in my driveway. What you gonna do with a bigger van? I mean, come on.
I will say that when I came out there for like a week and a half, 2 weeks, as by the end, Karina was like, "Will you please leave? You guys are bugging the shit out of me. Like we bugged her so bad."
She already has a free ticket to heaven.
Yeah. Because we bicker like we're siblings, clearly.
A little bit. Me and Ryan too, man. It's like, Jiminy.
we bicker?
We fight like crazy.
Mm,
Liar.
I can see that.
Ryan, you know what else I used to have my dad do? He used to do all the trimming.
Really? Nice.
Yeah. His trimming.
Yeah, you should have somebody trim for you.
Yeah.
Well, both of you don't really trim, but
But trimming's fun. Why did everybody just look at me?
It's not fun.
Did I say something sacrilegious? Like trimming is actually pretty fun.
Okay.
There's lots of things
Talking
you could
about.
have people do.
and here we
Blades.
have our psychopath, Isaac.
I mean, I don't trim every piece, but like since we started doing soda, like I've started trimming all those pieces, and I enjoy it. But yeah, I don't trim every piece by any means.
Right.
I do enjoy trimming when I'm doing like the fancier cups because it just makes them look so freaking crisp.
Yeah, that's what I'm
You
saying.
know, like if you can trim well, it makes it look so good.
Mhm.
But definitely not my favorite part by any means. No.
Yeah, I mean, I think the trimming in a way that's saving your body for long term, so you can make higher quality because you're choosing how to spend your time. And I don't know if it's like okay, well you have to sacrifice your craft by not trimming something, and that's just like a trade off you make. I think it's like, hey, I'm thinking about the long term of like, okay, what need as well as what standard do I want for my pieces, and that's a way to delegate but like remove a step from the process that's not important to me as other steps are. And I think that kind of like having somebody prep your clay, like not trimming as much is going to help
Mhm.
your production.
I mean, that is a reason I don't trim a lot of the stuff that I make on
Yeah.
the wheels because the time it takes. I mean, but if I want a piece that I'm going to sell for more money, it's going to have a nice foot. You know, it's not just your basic.
Right.
Heidi, did you have the questions over there?
More questions?
Did you have anything else that you didn't have on your list? Okay.
Well, I guess I do. So, because you were asking about like if it's I don't know if we decided as a group that you shouldn't tell anyone their pieces are too low, price too low or too high. I don't think you should tell people that, but do you ever see things and think like that's way too much?
All the time.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think Becca's raising her hand.
Oh my God. I just went to the St. George Art Festival last week. I think it was last week. And when I tell you the prices were all over the freaking board, it was wild. Like a shot glass for $40, a giant mug for $20. Like,
The customers were probably like in a daze of like, you're just gonna like you don't know what this booth's gonna bring.
Right.
Like, okay, am I gonna be
I will
very shocked? Or am I gonna
I
be
will
like,
say,
what the fuck is going
I
on?
will
What's
say
wrong
that
with this?
like this is wild, but like on a customer in like a customer psychology situation, like as a customer while I was at the St. George Art Fair, I had a budget, right? So I was like, I'm not going to spend more than $100. And then on myself, I excluded the cup that I bought for my mom, for Mother's Day. And she won't listen to this, so it doesn't really matter. I said that, but like once I saw these cups for $20, then I went to this other potter that was a wood fire. I think it was wood and soda fired pots. I don't know how that works, but that's how it worked. And his shot glasses were like $40. And when I picked it up, I was like, God damn it. I was like, I really want this, but it's $40, and that's really a lot. And then I was like, no, I'm going to buy it anyway. So I bought one. And then I'm pricing my own work later, and I'm like, well, I want to put these at $30. And I'm like, why was I so... I was really frustrated about that.
After seeing his were 40, you would have priced it lower than 30, or you wanted to?
No, I would have. I don't think it would have mattered his being 40, my prices, because I did it based on my fancy cup prices. I basically sliced them in half almost. So, but like, I thought of that, and I thought of like how I saw some things that were $20, some things that were so underpriced, I felt were so underpriced at this show, and then things that right now, if I didn't have that comparison, I would have felt like that was kind of like, yeah, it's okay, like it's normal. And I just think that, just thinking back to our whole conversation today, and like how that affects it, like how if there's somebody that's like way underpriced, how that affects the sale of the person that may be a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, overpriced,
like,
quote unquote, like.
Quote unquote. Yeah, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, depending on how you feel. But yeah, I wanted to say that because that was a very interesting, like it was an internal situation that I was going through. Like, I don't know, but
it was $20. What was that mug? Explain that mug.
Well, I have it, but it's it's a 32-ounce mug that's like thinner than thin. That's like.
That's called the utensil.
Right? Yeah, it was like a 32-ounce mug. It's like super thin. It was just your country pottery, like a matte glaze on the bottom and then a shiny overglaze that drips down.
Oxidation.
Oxidation. Actually, it may have been. I don't know if it was cone 10 reduction, but regardless.
What was the age of the potter selling that mug?
40s.
What was the age of the person selling the shot glass?
Mid-30s. Like low 40s, mid-30s. They were around the same age. It's not like they were like, you know. But
I wonder
one
what their
definitely.
were.
One definitely was a production potter, and one definitely wasn't. One was a show potter, one was a production potter. Go on, Heidi.
Wouldn't wood-fired work be priced more because it's more work?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If it's wood soda fired, I mean, that's the reason. I mean, it's so much.
Yeah.
But
it's
like,
a lot of work.
And what I'm saying is, if that potter that was $20 hadn't been there, I'd gotten to that booth at the wood fire potter. I would have gotten there and been like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and bought it without even thinking.
But I mean, you're honestly comparing an apple to a passion fruit because they're both fruit. But that passion fruit had to come from South America on a boat compared to the apple was harvested out of my tree this morning.
I understand that, but not everybody else understands that.
That's what I go back to. You have to educate your customers as to why. Because if they just have judgmental, $40 for a little shot glass, like fuck off. It's like, yeah, okay, well, if you don't give me time to educate you, then you're gonna. It's all about education of what we are doing.
It's not manipulating.
No, it's not at all. Like I mean, I hate people that sell like, oh, you should buy this because it's the last one I'm ever gonna make. No, if you don't like my art, don't buy it. But here's the reason: like when you educate and do it in a nice way, people will buy.
Yeah.
Just like you bought.
Yeah, I mean, well, I was gonna buy it anyway because I met him earlier. That was also my struggle, because I really didn't need a shot glass, but here we are.
But did you like the guy when you met him?
Yeah, he's super nice.
Yeah, and that's why you
And that's
bought
why I
it.
bought
If he was
it.
a super dick, you'd have been like, okay, $40 shot glass and you're a super dick. Probably not.
Because sometimes
Oh,
I'll even
one
buy
time-
things like, oh, I don't like, but the person's so nice, I'm like, well, I have to buy it because they're
Seriously, no, for sure.
For sure. I remember I walked into, as some people know, I don't really struggle buying pottery, like whatever. But art, like 2D art, is like my kryptonite. Okay, and so we went to like an art show a while ago, and I walked in and I saw this beautiful painting. It actually happens to be hanging in Ryan's house right now, and it's your entryway painting.
The really big one.
Yeah. So I saw this beautiful painting and I was like, wow, that's amazing. And I put a note on he wasn't there, and I put like a note on his desk, and I said that I wanted to buy it. And then he came in and he completely ignored everybody in the room. He like didn't talk to me even though I was like waiting. He was talking to like people that he knew that weren't going to buy anything. And by the end of that transaction, I was like, I am not sure I want to buy this. Like, and I did. I ended up buying it.
The price was so low, right?
It was
From what you told me, it was
low.
like $100 for this 5 foot
like
by 7 foot
$300
painting or something like that. Is that how much?
Yeah.
How big it is? Like a 4x7, I think.
$300.
It's really big.
It's really big. It's 4x6.
4x6. And it was like $300, wasn't it, or less, or
Yeah,
a
it
little
was
more?
stupid cheap. Yeah. So I mean, I had to buy it, but like.
So the price was a big selling point of that. That's the
Yeah.
reason you bought that purchase, because that dude was a dick. He didn't help the case.
The reason I bought it
Beautiful.
was because he was stupid enough to price it low. And if it was like $500, I would never have bought it.
But if it would have been, you bought it for $300.
Yeah.
If he was
you
nice
would've
and
paid
it was
$600 if he
500,
was
would you have
nice.
bought it?
If he was nice and it was $500, I absolutely would have bought it.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. People buy half the art and half the human. Like, you just freaking be kind. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, right. The other thing I was just thinking about, like, because Isaac, were talking about educating people, is like, I just thought of this because I don't do art fairs anymore, but like I had to educate people so much about slip casting because people think that that's not handmade. And it's like, oh Lord, it is.
Slip casting is handmade.
Yeah, did you know? Did you not know? But also,
Heidi
like,
doesn't actually work at all. It just magically ends
Right.
up in as a pot.
right. But yeah, because a lot of people used to do that at those like paint your own pottery places. So they're like, oh, like, did you buy that mold? And it's like, no, I did not.
Yeah, I made the mold, and
Right.
this waiting time, and yeah.
Right.
Was
So, like,
it
for
hard
me-
to sell? Was it hard to sell those wholesale pieces, or sorry, not the wholesale, the slip cast pieces next to wheel thrown pieces? Like, there was a big variation in price points for those. So, did you have to educate more on one over the other?
No, people like, I think it's like what Becca said, people don't care. Because I think we're assuming that most of our customers are potters and most of our customers aren't. And they just like things. And I would explain it to them, and some people were really interested, but some people were just kind of like, that's cool, but I like the color. For me, a lot of my things sold because people liked the color.
And for me, my stuff sells because people like mid-century modern.
Right.
Like, or because they love the 80s, And like, but also I can't sell my jewelry with a 10-foot pole in person. But at stores, they sell fine.
What is that?
What?
So it's like more gallery level work? Like it sells in gallery is what you're saying? Easier.
Yes. Isn't that, like, what's the difference between like being able to sell not in person? Like me and Heidi, sell our stuff better not in person, and you guys sell your stuff better in person.
I sell it well in person. I just it just drains me. Like I did, I don't know what. So to me, what I would do is a booth fee times, what is it, 10?
Yeah.
Was what I would try and shoot for. And like most of the time that's what I would do, but it's just draining.
I
But
guess what
here's
I'm
something
saying
that's
is,
crazy. Here's something that's crazy. You know my Brighter Days collection?
mhm.
It's priced higher. It's slip cast. You're not going to believe where it sells well. On Etsy.
Awesome.
But that's so weird.
Yeah, why is that?
I don't know. I didn't think it would sell well at all because I feel like Etsy a lot of times they want like less expensive pieces.
I think the
So
bright
say
colors
how much
sell better
how much are
online.
they are?
That could be. What?
How much are they?
Well, like
Price
a
point.
mug is 68.
Okay. And a plate, one of those plates.
The little itty bitties, 38. So
Okay,
a spoon
and
rest. The spoon rest.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
spoon rest is $38.
That's how much Rebecca Graves sells hers for too.
I think your pictures
Does
are
it make
probably
you
really-
question? Does it
your
make you
pictures-
question like if you should sell your stuff for that much?
You what?
Honestly, like when somebody says that they sell
No.
a spoon rest for, no, it doesn't.
No. At some
Oh,
point,
it
you're
always
also
made me
taking
question.
I can't say that. Sorry.
You can't say what?
Nothing. I was gonna say something.
No,
I was gonna say at some point you're also taking advantage of people. That's what he was
At
gonna
some
say.
point, you're taking advantage of people too. I mean,
Oh,
it's
but-
Yeah.
plates. And if it is dipped in glaze and it is just a 30-second plate, I mean, at some point, what?
They're slip cast. Like slip casting.
No, but I'm saying like mine. Like,
Oh,
it's not a Brighter Day collection. It's a throw it in 30 seconds and dip it in
Right.
white glaze collection. Like, I'm not going to sell it for more than maybe 15 because I feel
Oh, right.
bad because it's like, at some point, I'm happy with $15 for a thing that takes me 45 seconds to maybe throw on a wheel because my human instinct doesn't let me do that because I could sometimes, like even selling a $140 wall mug, sometimes I'm like, ooh, like,
oh.
That changes.
But also, I think that you don't.
I don't know, and it may
wax
change.
and glaze them
It
for
may
you.
change if I don't live in the cheapest town in the freaking country too. Like,
Right.
I don't have the overhead of living in a
Right.
city.
It's the overhead, I
I think
think.
that's the big part. Yeah. How much are
Like,
you spending? How much?
I
what are
don't.
your
My
expenses?
studio's at home. My gallery's at home. We pay
Right.
one electric bill and it covers our house, our studio, and our gallery. We pay one internet bill. Like, we're lucky that we have everything here combined in one. So I don't know. At some point, like, could you? Yes. I don't know. I just feel bad about it. And
But
not
you
saying
still have
others
to pay
shouldn't.
for your gallery.
Hmm?
You still have to pay for your gallery. Like the gallery, I know that you saved the money to do that, but like that still costs money. And that your pieces that you're making still like affect the bottom line of that gallery. You
probably
know?
made work up to then to save enough so that you could pay for the gallery, that it made financial sense to do the gallery, right? Like if you were barely making a profit, the gallery wouldn't have been on the horizon, right?
I mean, we're apparently making a profit on our $12 spoon rest because we're doing okay. Like, and at what point are you doing good enough to keep going? Like, I don't know.
I'm the first one to tell you that I've always like I only sell enough to make a certain amount of money a year. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm gonna make $40,000 a year this year, and that's gonna be good enough, right?
So
Which
when
Like,
you
is-
say
at what point should we be lowering our prices?
Yeah, but
I mean,
when
if
you
it used to take me 5 minutes to make a spoon rest and now it takes me 45 seconds, why don't I lower my price? Because
well,
my
no, well, that's what I was going to ask
hourly
you.
charge for my personal handiwork is less.
Because like
yeah, but
if
you've been doing
I-
pottery for like 30 years.
But it still
You're
doesn't even
36.
count. I mean, if I was selling my spoon rest for $10 10 years ago, and now I make them so much faster, but my personal price goes up, it's still selling higher than it would have been 10 years ago. Does that make sense? With inflation and everything, I mean, you look at it, maybe we should lower our prices
I think you're just going the extreme, right? You're just making an example.
I think you're
Like,
playing being the
For
devil's
sure, no,
advocate
it's
right
definitely
now.
making an example, but think about it in the way of like, are you going to make more money by lowering your prices?
Am I going to make more work for me? I mean, like, if you worked a regular job, do you get a pay raise
But
or
at
a
the
pay
same time,
cut?
10 years ago, how many spoon
No,
rests did
okay.
you make in an hour? 10? And now
I
you
think
can make 30 in an hour.
So here,
No, I'm pretty consistent 10 years ago to now.
okay,
Yeah, but you're also a unicorn. That's not normal for people.
I understand what you're saying, Isaac, and like my other than last year, like my best year had been when my prices were lower, right? Because when your prices are lower, you can sell a lot more, right?
And that's where money comes from, is selling more.
Right. But the problem was I got so burned out. It took me so long to recover. I couldn't keep going. Does that make sense?
I'm
Yeah,
still
sure.
burned out.
Yeah, well, because burnout can take a long time. So I think like what you said, it's a balance, right? Because like hearing you talk about these events and like throwing, I'm like, well, I could throw because I could start throwing pumpkins because I have an open studio in October. I could try and do that. But then the funny
And
thing
Heidi
is,
loves pumpkins.
I do love pumpkins.
Pumpkins
I
are
have
the
one of
weirdest thing in the world. I don't know why people buy them,
I
but
have one of your pumpkins. I love it. But the thought of me spending like all that time making pumpkins scares me more than raising my prices.
yeah, but you also don't start by making 800 pumpkins. You start with 10.
Just 10? Well, see, this could be part of the thing. Like,
Well, yeah, but if
I
you
think you
can't
need to
sell
build
10,
them.
how are you going to sell 800? Like we started with literally 5 one year. The next year we
really?
made 10. The next year we made 20. The
I think
next year we made like 50.
Yeah, you got to build your momentum. You got to
Yeah, we
find that
didn't-
unicorn item. Like the
yeah.
pumpkins were the unicorn for
We
you.
didn't
I feel
just-
like oil bottles
yeah.
or something that I'm like, okay, like I keep telling people about these oil bottles, like make them, people like them, like.
Because what's weird is we've sold our pumpkins to galleries for wholesale. They cannot move them.
Well, that's interesting too.
And we've taken them to shows and we do not sell them, but we have our pumpkin patch here and it's just this weird, like, yeah, people come and go crazy. All the way to the point where they take pictures of their collection so they don't get the same color the next year and they come back and they're like comparing. It's a weird addiction.
That's cute.
Can we go back to the part where you said like that we were talking about if you do it faster, you should price it less?
Mhm.
Because I just don't understand. I mean, I do understand, but also as somebody who was at one end of the spectrum when I started, and now I'm like on the other end of the spectrum, just like my political life. I I it's funny, like when I started working, I was like, oh, the American dream, we have to work hard and we have to like make money that is worked for, blah blah blah, which is true. I still feel that way, but at the same time, I think that artists and us as artists or craftspeople tend to put ourselves in a category that like values ourselves for less the more that we do. And like if I can make it in a minute as opposed to 5 minutes, it should be less money because it's less work, quote unquote. But we negate the fact that like, all that work that got into making it for a minute. And like, if we compare this to literally any other job, like a pilot, the more hours a pilot flies, the better he gets and the more money he gets. And I think that it's stupid for us to assume that we're not worth more. And I know that's not exactly what you were saying, but I do think it's not fair for us to assume that we're not worth more because we can make things better, faster, and more accurately and more precise the farther we get along. And it's just like, I mean, that goes along with education, right? Like if you're selling something for $30 that you were selling for, I don't know, $10, $15 back in 2010, the education along with that saying, hey, yeah, I have gotten like exponentially better and I put 10 years of work into making this piece this price, even though it takes me a minute to do it. Okay,
your
that's it.
expertise is worth something, and yeah.
You know, I suggested lowering your prices to make people think about what it actually does. And that's funny how it sparked you into this, like, I got to go back because I've been thinking about this, which is exactly like, yeah, of course we're not going to lower our prices as we get better. But if you think of it that way and like what we're doing, it's going to make you defend why you're raising your prices. It's going to make you understand and be able to relate that to customers just as fast. Because, yeah, I can make this $20 mug in 1 minute. But like, what does that have to do with anything of how fast I make it? You don't know. You're buying my one mug, whether I made it in 10 minutes or
Yeah.
one. No, I'm just saying, like, as artists, if we question ourselves as we get better and faster, why don't we lower it? Because like, I love throwing. I freaking love throwing. And if I don't sell my pieces, I can't throw more because I only have so much shelf space. So I have to set them at a price that people are going to take them. And if I keep raising, that doesn't happen. But if I would lower it, guess what? My shelves clear out where I can make more and enjoy what I'm doing. Obviously, that's not what we do as artists or humans or professionals. But that's the question, is how do you take that thought of lowering to make you defend why you hire it? Like, that may not make sense. I don't know. It does in my brain.
No, it did. I also am I think it's just wild.
See that, Jesse?
That I'm like, I think it's just wild that I'm like the only one in this group that wants to like not work at all and like have like a sugar daddy. I just don't understand why I'm the only one. Like, I feel like this is a normal, I just want to marry rich.
How much did
like that's the only reason I would get married.
Becca, I
is
think
to,
Bobby feels that way too, so you're not alone.
How much is it like also be like, is it realistic to, is there enough education about what it realistically takes and how much work you actually do have to put in to like go through the figuring out like how much customers are willing to pay and like where customers actually like what people like about your specific work, or what forms are worth your time to make that are actually potentially marketable and sellable versus like, okay, maybe you like don't do that because it doesn't sell as well no matter how much you enjoy making it. Like,
maybe you can't price your stuff higher because it's just not fucking good. Ooh. I don't know.
What were you trying to ask, Ryan?
I'm trying to like, is there like, you go through all these steps of figuring out what you're worth. Okay, I'm worth $35 an hour and this is what I want. But if your pieces aren't like, I don't know. I think I'm talking about like the time it takes to just spend time repeating, making in the, like you need to make a lot of shit to get a big sample size for you to figure out what customers like, what they respond to, what you enjoy making, what you enjoy marketing, how to market it, like how to talk to people about it, how to talk about your price for that item. Like there's so much work and trial and error and just time that you need to figure that stuff out.
Maybe that is the topic for like another podcast. Because it feels
With you,
like
Heidi?
Well, of course. It sounds like what you're asking is like, how do you make it so that you can grow a sustainable pottery business, right? Because you do want to have your prices low enough that you're selling a lot, that like your skills.
You're getting paid to like trial and error shit.
Right.
I personally think you should have low prices at the beginning, but like right at the beginning when people's work is total shit, I think it's great to have like cheap prices personally, but
I think you're also trying to like attract customers. Like you need those early pieces to sell so that you're building momentum little by little to build that customer base.
Right.
If you have zero customer base and your pot is
very
just as good as somebody else's, like I think their ability to, the demand that they've built, like definitely factors into how it's priced.
right, like Ryan, you have been selling at the same markets for the same fucking years, and same with Isaac, you've been in the same place for all these times, you know, so you like have that ability to like build momentum, you know, and some people don't have that luxury, but I think they can make that luxury. You know, like Ryan, you've definitely set yourself up to be in a spot to do that. And I think that some people, like, especially when you're new, you're like, ugh, that market was garbage. I'm just not ever going to do that again. Whereas that was something you didn't do. You were like, oh, that wasn't that great. I'm going to do it next year. Like, and you do better the next year, and then you do better the next year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always trying to look at, like, what did I positively get out of this experience? Like, is it moving me? Is it giving me a better feeling about, like, okay, I know better for what I need to do next time? Or is it like, okay, is this just, like, not my market and it's not worth it? Or is the, you know, how do you figure out what's worth it and what's not? And I was also just talking about, like, how much time you actually need to spend in the studio doing stuff. Like,
That's true.
I don't know. Like, I'm not gonna like. He was like, "Hey, go watch a movie or something." Like, I want to spend time in the studio, even though I'm here. So, like, I'm gonna do that because I feel like it. But how do you say, like, you need to spend time doing stuff when you have the time available? Like, things to help your business or like, I don't know.
Oh.
That's part of what I'm getting at. Like, how do you build that work ethic of just, you know, you have to love it enough that you don't feel like it's like, okay, I got to drag myself in and it feels like a job. I don't know.
Do you have to love it that much, though? Do you have to love it like that?
You have to love something, some part of it.
I've never.
Like, why wouldn't you love it? Like,
Never.
if this is what you're making your life around, like, what percentage of people have the luxury of being self-employed in a business they created? Why would you not love it? I'm not gonna go sell peppermints because I don't like
You
peppermints.
think it's a luxury being a business owner? I mean,
For
like,
sure.
we
Have
could
you ever
have
worked for a boss?
insurance.
It sucks.
I have worked for bosses, and it's great.
But that's the thing.
We
If
could
it's
have
not a luxury,
insurance.
why do you keep doing it? That's the
I-
question. Like, if it
okay,
wasn't a
because-
luxury for me,
because-
I wouldn't be here. Teaching was not a luxury.
this
So I was
is
like,
what
peace
I'm
out,
good
bro.
at.
I can go to be my own boss.
No, but, like, I think that hold on, I have one more thing to say. I think that, like, I didn't say not like, I said not love.
Oh.
And I think that there is something that needs to be noted, that you don't have to love what you're doing to like it enough to do it and to have a good life, but you don't have to love it so much that you have to be in the studio 24 hours a day. You don't have to do that. No, you don't.
I'm sure there's some part of your process that you really love, right? You really love the painting and the decorating, the fancy, like,
Right.
you really find gaps in your process where you can embed parts that you really love doing. Would that be
Yeah,
an
but if you
accurate
told
statement?
me, if you told me I never had to paint ever again, I'd be like, peace out. Like,
But why do you do the
deuces.
Pantones? Why do you do the little postcard things? Do you not love painting? Is there a
I'm
reason
trying
that
to
you're
get better
doing
at
it?
drawing a straight line.
But like, what does Becca love? What does Becca absolutely love?
Becca, I think you're
I
still
love
burned out.
sleeping.
Yeah,
So
I think
how
you're
do
still
we
burned
find
out.
you a job that you're making money by sleeping?
I think
I
you're
don't know,
still-
but when it happens, you let me fucking know.
Sleep studies.
Sleep number.
No, but I guess what I'm saying is, like, I always used to like watching Steve Jobs. No, not Steve Jobs. The Dirty Jobs guy. Who's the Dirty Jobs guy?
Oh yeah.
Micro. Micro always, you know, and, like, there's this. He always used to say, you don't have to love what you do. You have to like it enough to live a life that you love.
Okay, so there's a trade-off. Maybe love is the wrong word. Maybe like it enough that you're happy with your decisions. Like,
Yeah,
there's
because
so
if
many
you loved
alternatives
what you would
could be
do,
doing, but what do you want to spend your time doing?
because if you loved what you do it for free. Okay? If you loved it that much, there's a possibility that you would just do it for free.
Which is why
Right?
giving away pots is not that big a deal.
Right. For you.
I mean, you gave me 2 mugs. You gave me 2 cups.
I give away shit all the time.
See,
Ask
because you
Ryan.
love making pottery. Like, you love the act of making good quality pots. Like, you can tell how much somebody loves it by what their pots look like.
You're so
would
weird, like, I
disagree.
do not love it.
I've said this from day one. I mean,
But
Ryan's
that's
heard
also
me
why you
say
had
it from day
shitty
one.
pots, and that's why you name them shitty pots, because that's how you feel about it. But, like, when you love your fancy cups, your whatever, like, it's totally different for you. Like, you put on
I
this vibe,
hate
like,
making
they're shitty
fancy
pots because I
cups.
hate my fucking life and I hate pottery. Like, they're shitty pots. But why do you do, like, you love fancy pots, and that's why they're called fancy pots because they're freaking sweet, and like you take your time doing
because they're
it. And you love
fancy.
that.
Wait, but you don't like making them?
But when you put your heart
No.
and soul into them, you can tell. But yes, you do. Shut the hell up. I watched.
I
you
like
make
painting
them.
them. I like painting them. I hate every other part of the process. Like the sanding is awful. That's why I've stopped making them for like
You
the last
loved
3
sanding them
weeks.
at my house when you used diamond core pads.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
I'm not lying.
Is
He's
there
a
something
liar.
you like making?
She legit, to quote, these are freaking awesome. Where'd you get them? Diamond core? Oh, I don't like them anymore.
The amount of bullshit that comes out of Isaac Shue's
Yeah.
mouth.
CT.
DCT Inc. She
Oh
loved
my
it.
god. I
She
think
had
I'm
no-
never talking to you ever again.
Heidi, do you resonate with the love part of it? Like, how much do you? I think there has to be parts of the process. Like, are the process itself or the work that's results
No,
from? I don't know.
I-
Like,
I love it. I didn't love it when I was burned out. I love it now. But like I don't feel like I'm being attacked, but like because I try not to work weekends and I don't work very long hours, but I mean it's full time. But like I also can't because like I feel like I got addicted. Like I feel like I was a workaholic for so long that now like I have to have boundaries because I could slide right back into that. And
as long as you make enough that you're happy with the life that you're leading, and that you have the free time to do what you want to do outside of the
Right.
studio, right? That's
Right.
what we're trying to balance and
Right.
figure out for each one of us, right?
But I think
But-
what happened was like I felt like I wasn't making enough money. So then like I spent all my free time making more, and then that was not helping. And it was just like this vicious cycle of me like burning myself out even more.
But I think you're kind of where you're at right now in your business, where you cannot work a full day, whatever that means, and like I'm not working weekends because you've put in your time and you've put in your hours and you did that to set it up to where you're at. I mean, that's where we're at now too. Where
Right.
people who are starting want to glorify this. Well, I don't want to work weekends. I don't want to work more than 5 hours a day. Well, I'm sorry, that's not the world we live in.
Right.
Especially when you're starting and you have no clients. Like it works for those of us around this table because we've busted our ass and done it.
Right.
Nobody
if,
starts
if
that way.
there's, If there's
Nobody starts
anything you
that way.
learn from this, it's that. Seriously.
Like you
Like
have to
I've
put
worked
the time.
90 hours a week
Right.
to get to the place that I'm at right now, which is burned out and only working 4 hours a day.
Right.
But like
And doing sleep studies.
doing sleep studies in my van.
At what point are you like, okay, we're, oh, well, you're glorifying hustle culture or whatever, versus like, no, that's just what you, like, it takes time and hours to do this.
I don't think it's glorifying hustle culture. I think that it's just almost a mathematical equation. You can get there quicker if you work harder, or you can get there when you're 60. If you don't.
The amount of hours you put in will get you there. It's just what point in life do you want to put those hours in? When you're
Right,
younger,
exactly.
when you're older. Do you want to keep working harder because you're older? Well, you didn't do it when you were younger.
Yeah. Because, like nobody is going to get to a place like the place that all of us are at if they just slack off at the age that we are at, if they just slack off.
But like not even just slacking off. Like I worked really hard as a teacher and I worked really hard as a potter, but I didn't get as good as where I was as a potter quicker because the hours I was working was in the classroom.
Was
And
a
like
lot
when you're
less,
splitting it, when you're splitting your work hours among so many different jobs, it doesn't make you a better. You're still only putting that limited amount of hours into your pottery, which then when you do that for 10 years doesn't add into, oh, I've been a potter for 10 years. Actually, you've been a potter for 3 years
Right.
when you put the hours together. So
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
know. And it's one of those.
Yeah, I always feel iffy whenever somebody asks how long you've been doing this. I'm like 17 years, but I'm like, I was in school, I was in college.
Yeah, right.
Like, I'm not doing this full time. And
I've been throwing
yeah.
since this time, but
Right.
putting in full time.
Yeah, that's why I always say, like, I've been doing this for 15 years, but I've been doing it full time for 10. And my full time for 10 is a hell of a lot more than some people's full time for 10.
For sure.
Unfortunately for me.
But you still love it.
I said unfortunately for me. Oh, yeah. I just eat, sleep, and drink pottery every
But I
single
feel
day.
Okay,
like
so what
there
did
are
you buy at
times
the-
you do love it. Like you'll get excited and
there's
you'll text
times-
me and you'll be like, "Oh, I want to show you my new stuff."
Yeah, there's times that I like the outcomes, and there's times that I like what I'm doing. But there's a difference. I was raised in a completely different type of environment. It's probably the same as Isaac, but very similar to Isaac. But when I figured out that I was good at pottery, I like chose that. I was like, okay, I'm good at this. I'm going to do this. It was not because I loved it. It was because, hey, like I always tell people, like, I was made to do pottery. This is what I'm good at, you know? And that was what was afforded to me at that time. Like I could have gone into something else. I would have probably loved to do product design, you know, or industrial design. And this is kind of like the path that I took instead because I didn't know any better.
But you're
And
still
so
doing those two.
I know.
Work.
That's why I'm good at it, because that's what I was made to do. I was made to do something along those lines, and I just chose pottery, and I was like, okay, pottery's going to be it. I'm going to put all of my eggs in that basket, and so I did. And yes, did I like the process? Absolutely. Was it also awful at a lot of times? Absolutely. But like, I think it's important to note that like it was a choice on my part. I could have done so many different things. A lot of people feel like it was like they just had to do it. I didn't just have to do it. I could have gone to school for engineering. I'm not dumb. I love engineering. I love mechanical stuff. Like I could have done all of that stuff, you know? And I originally went to school for graphic design. That's what I would have loved to do, but I didn't, you know? And like it just kind of like fell into place, and here we are. That's great. I'm happy. I wouldn't change it unless I made a lot more money, maybe. But like 5 minutes?
No, I got a question.
Yeah.
What did you buy at the art show the other day?
Shot glass.
Graphic design?
Well, there wasn't any good art. I live in a fucking van.
But my point is, you love pottery.
But no, if I have a choice between 2D art and pottery, I'm gonna choose 2D art 10 out of 10 times. Sorry. Ryan
But
can
you
vouch
bought
for
2
that.
pieces of pottery, and you messaged me the other day and said, save me that mug because I want to buy that mug because you love pottery.
No, I love you. I'm gonna give it to Ryan.
Oh, you're going to give it to Ryan?
Yeah, all my mugs go on Ryan's shelf.
Okay, yeah, but here's the thing. You're still choosing to spend your hard-earned money on pottery because you love pottery. You can say you don't, but you do.
No, I like
I
pottery.
hate my dog, but if you came and shot my dog, I'd probably kill you. Like, I love my dog, but I hate her.
Yeah, but I would rather buy glass.
Is it the
Like-
people more? I mean, the people.
It's more
are-
the people. It's not really the pots. It's the people.
So you love the community of the ceramics world.
Yeah,
And the pots
obviously.
remind you of those people and those experiences and those relationships.
Yeah. I
So like
mean,
the two guys that you bought the
I
mug,
was
really like them.
well, I bought one of the mugs for my mom.
Oh, the really
That
big.
was a $20 mug.
Yeah, but what my point is you love pottery, so you buy it for your mom. Like you love pottery.
No, I don't.
Say it.
She will not buy a mug from me. She's been looking for this mug for years.
I think I understand what you're saying because, like, for me, I was not good at pottery, so I wasn't good. I wasn't one of those people who like sat down at the wheel and was good at it. I was bad,
That was me.
but I liked it. I was like, no, I loved it. I was like, this is the best thing in the world. And like even now, like as a professional potter, like I don't know if I'm like that great at pottery. I'm good at colors, you know.
I love color theory. I love color theory.
Like there are people out there that make way better pottery than I do, but I don't know. I still love it.
I think that what I love, Isaac, I think that what I love is designing something well. Like pottery has given me the ability to do that. So like when I make a cup and it's a really good design and there's a reason for everything in that cup to be the way it is, that's what I really love. You know, and I don't think it's the clay itself. I don't like getting my hands dirty, but I love throwing. But like I think that that's the distinction. So it's just like the outcome to me is really important. And I like the process of throwing. I think it's a lot easier. Like I think also just time has made it so much easier for me. But yeah, like I said, I'm not upset with the life that I have. I'm not upset that I do pottery for a living. I like it. I like a lot of the processes about it. I love painting. I love doing color theory. But if that painting was on wood, it would not change it doesn't change my like ability to like it more if it's on pottery versus wood. I like it equally, you know?
So if you could sell them both equally, you wouldn't have
I
a preference over one over the other.
No, absolutely not.
Hmm.
Like, I love earrings. I like wearing them. I love jewelry. I like seeing it. Like, I will buy jewelry everywhere that I go. All the earrings that I can see. It doesn't matter that it's clay. I love silver, you know? Like, it's just the life that I've chosen, and I'm good at it, and this is what I do.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And now I feel like I've defended myself to hate pottery, which I don't. That's not what I'm saying.
No, I love it. I've always wanted to question you on that because you're always like, there's a few more questions I want to ask you, but that'll be another time.
Oh, God.
When you come throw for us, I'll ask you.
Oh, like that's ever going to happen?
I might call you next week. You don't know.
You
I
know
need
what? I have
pumpkins
plans
made.
now, bro. I have plans, and plus, you gave away your pug mill, and you only throw with Laguna. If you switch to Aardvark,
That might change soon, let me tell you.
Yeah, you're talking
dude,
about.
can you switch to Aardvark? Their clay is so much softer.
Wait, why'd you get rid of your pug mill?
Why'd I give him a pug mill?
Yeah.
I didn't use it.
So you don't reclaim, you just throw it out?
I just don't.
He doesn't
Oh, you
mess
don't-
up.
You don't trim, so you don't.
He doesn't have a lot of
I
reclaim,
don't have
honestly.
much
He
scrap.
doesn't.
Let's put it that way.
He doesn't have enough to pug it.
Oh.
I used my pug mill to get softer
Yeah,
clay.
like
He
time.
doesn't
Like
need
I'm
that.
more beneficial sitting at the wheel throwing than I am recycling clay.
Right.
Yeah.
And we
See,
also
like,
we
what
use
I used to
clay
use-
bodies, and it's just
Yeah. And like what I used to use a pug mill for would be to soften up the clay. And he doesn't really need that. He's got hands that are
How was the clay you threw on today? Was it softer than normal or similar?
because you prepared it.
Because I dropped it on the ground more. I don't know if
Oh,
you
it
cut
was the same.
It's the same. Okay.
So I use Laguna B mix. I mean, it comes pretty well ready to throw. The B mix with speckles is a little bit harder. The Moroccan sand I use extremely hard, so I drop that like crazy, and it softens up. But I don't know. I really have a problem with a company that rhymes with Maguna. And I really want to go to a company that rhymes with Kentucky May Marks. But my supplier only brings Maguna.
Oh.
yeah.
I've talked with them about pallets and pricing and shipping, and it's doable. I gotta take time to figure it out. I don't know. Not
Yeah,
talking
that
bad about
ta-
any
that ta-
company.
that takes a
because
bit to
it takes a long
transition
time.
off.
I mean, it's been 12 years with the same clay body, so
Yeah.
it's just time.
Mhm.
It is. It's time.
Zip.
We probably should go.
Yeah, we got to
We
pick
said
on
we were
it.
gonna
I gotta
try and
pick
keep
the
it.
kid. Me and Ryan go to pickup line. Pretty cute.
Pick up line and cherry
Aw.
lime.
Get the kid at school, get a cherry limeade, come back, and I don't know what we're doing today at 4 o'clock.
I gotta make Dominoes.
I like those
I'm
Dominoes.
going grocery shopping.
Ooh, grocery shop.
Do you go to Aldi?
I do, yeah.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get the peanut butter chocolate cups.
They don't have those at mine.
Well,
Yes, they do.
I tried to
They
get
do?
Becca to get them, and she didn't like them, but they
I
are
didn't see it. No, because usually I have to go
That's
to Trader Joe's to get
bullshit.
them.
I'm the
They
one
have a-
that told I'm the one that told Isaac about the peanut butter cups. You asshole.
Yeah, I feel like they don't stock them at the Aldi's if there's a Trader Joe's nearby. That I don't know if that's true, but
Rachel likes the Trader Joe's with the dark chocolate Reese's.
well,
Those
are
ones
good.
aren't as good as the Aldi ones.
Oh, I like those. No, the dark chocolate Trader Joe ones are good.
Yeah, the Aldi ones are creamy on the inside.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we're about wrapping up here. All right, you can
It
find.
was good talking to everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for joining us again.
Heck yeah, this is
Yeah.
sweet. We should do this like weekly and not even record it. Just hang out.
Yeah, then Isaac can tell us how he really feels.
We should have a check-in in November.
Yeah, I can't hold anything out back.
We should have a check-in in January because I will make 10 pumpkins and sell them and see if they sell.
Ooh, 10 pump.
Okay.
He's talking like he's gonna hold, like maybe slipcast, get into slipcast a little bit for him. We'll see.
Oh, really?
I told him he should slipcast those mini pumpkins like years ago.
Yeah, they're coming around to it. Well, obviously the slipcasting takes a learning curve, So.
Right.
I don't know though. She can make those pumpkins in like 2 seconds flat though. I will say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might save the hands, I guess, but.
Well, they've had others help, like assistants make the bodies, and then she finishes them or puts the stems on. So.
Oh.
Dude, look at this. We had a group of women last night come and paint mugs. And the director, I was telling her like an idea. So she just took this mug and brought it back to me and she just glazed this.
Oh damn!
Future Potter.
Snowflake experience.
She has a little clay
Stop
experience.
it, Heidi. That is toxic positivity.
What did she say?
She said
I
future
said
Potter.
Future Potter.
No, she's awesome. She's great.
That looks sweet.
Toxic positivity.
Toxic. No, it's toxic Pottertivity.
Yeah.
Oh. Ba-da-bum.
All right, I'm ending this. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Later.
Bye.
Oh wait. Oh, Heidi, you can find Heidi at Bella Joy Pottery, and Isaac, you can find him at Isaac Shue.
Is art.
It's art.
Oh my gosh. So the other day, like my name, whatever it is, IS art is art. Is this still recording?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, anyways, it doesn't matter. And there's this troll that lives in town, like anything on Facebook, he's just like a giant dick, whatever. And I've had like Isaac Shue, IS art. It's been that for like 13 years on Facebook. Everybody in town follows me because it's like 1,500 people. It's not a big deal. And this old curmudgeon was like, can anybody else be art, or are you the only one that can is art? I was like, it's my initials. He was like, oh.
Oh my god.
Can anybody else be art? I was like, good God.
Also follow Gallery Mostaza on
Yeah.
Instagram.
Instagram. Gallery.mostaza. Mostaza.
Yeah. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for listening to another episode of Wheel Talk. This podcast is made possible through the contributions of all of our listeners who always ask us great questions, leave us reviews, and contact with us through social media. Thanks to all the fellow makers as well who take time to be interviewed and share about their lives and businesses.
And thank you to Ashley from Boldover Ceramics and Lindy from Lindy Garner Ceramics for their assistance on the Wheel Talk podcast Instagram. You are invaluable. Thank you to everybody.